Hello, friends. Hope you're having a wonderful day. If not, we're going to try and make it better because we got Final Fantasy 1. This is the Pixel Remaster available on Steam, and we're going to have a race of it. Mikey, what do you think about having a race of this?
Look, this game is a racing game and a half. On the one hand, it's really safe. You don't have to worry about, any mistakes that'll just completely drop you out of the run. No chance to continue. Still cost you time, but you can just keep going. On the other hand, runner skill is a really useful part of this. It lets you get through a lot of stuff fast. But there are parts here that will just come down to, does the game feel like letting the runners through today?
Now, just to clarify this for anyone tuning in, this race is not part of the tournament. This is how we're hyping up the tournament. So if you love Final Fantasy and you still want a piece of this action, you got a week to sign up for it because we're not going to start till after SG Live. Also, Nash is here in the booth. How you doing today?
I'm doing great. I'm very much excited to just show off the run to everyone because like you said, we have a full week before we're actually going to start the tournament. And runners can pick up this game relatively fast and easy. So if you're ever interested in an RPG and have people around you to help you learn it, this is the time.
Anyway, we're going to get started with the classic staple of JRPG speedrunning, a 2-minute unskippable cutscene.
It's always great, right? You set out, you basically start your run and you get enough time to just get a cup of tea. Get a cup of tea ready.
Right? One of the big things that a great friend of mine often says is that every good RPG speedrun needs a bathroom break. Sadly for this game, it's right at the very beginning.
I think there's a few more cutscenes. There's a few more cutscenes, but the majority of them are within the first 10 minutes of the run. So unless you're very fast, somewhere a third into the run, you have 20 seconds, and that's it.
Yeah.
So it's a good
there's a few minute-long cutscenes later in, but yeah, no. You go to the bathroom while building a canal or with the airship, and you're gonna lose time, unfortunately.
Yeah. I have the actual numbers. I think we have 4 minutes and 20 seconds of cutscenes in the first 8 minutes of the run, and 32 seconds of cutscenes in the remaining of the run. So it's a very active RPG speedrun, though.
Yeah.
Thankfully, it's not 10 hours long.
But yeah, there's plot, there's lore. If you know FF1, you know FF1. If not, I will gladly explain it to you later.
That is one of the nice things about when we say you could still pick this up. We're not doing any sequence breaks or anything like that. If you know how to play Final Fantasy 1, you know how to do this. We just try to do it faster.
That's basically it, yeah.
And some of the strats might look a little interesting. To start us off, let's talk about that party composition. So we've got a fighter, great. They wear armor, they have some pretty heavy weapons. We got a monk, great. Punchy boy, love him. We got double black mage. Where's our healing?
We need lightning. We don't need healing here. We're gonna blow stuff up. That's what we're doing at FF1.
You don't have to heal if you've already killed the enemy before they do damage to you. It's simple.
That's the strategy.
Yeah. So what we'll see our runners be doing is, once we get to level 3 magic is when these black mages will really start shining. But for now, they've got Thunder, which is gonna hit enemies on the overworld for about 40 damage a pop.
It's a very nice layover until the good stuff starts for the black mage, until you get the level 3 magic spells. It's very nice to just have in your back pocket.
And yeah, there's a couple of different ways you can approach things in a little bit, but until you get to Provoca, all of our runners are going to do the same thing. You're going to buy a better sword and a better piece of armor for the fighter. You're going to take everything off the black belt. You're going to buy Thunder, and then you're going to go run up and try to knock down Garland before he knocks you down.
Yeah, the early part is very nice, very comfortable. Like, you can see everyone are... Oh, that's very unfortunate. So, I was just about to mention, you get one encounter on the overworld, and you go immediately into the dungeon and fight Garland. If you're lucky, you will not get an encounter in the Garland castle, but both of our runners are getting it. That is very unfortunate. It does guarantee a level up, though, so that's very nice.
Yeah. You do want to get level 4 by the time you get to Provoca, just because that gives your fighter a second hit with their weapon. But one of the annoying things about the Garland fight is experience points on your Black Mages is very important. Garland can swing for 25 onto one of your Black Mages, as we see Rhokubee losing one of his.
That is very unfortunate to see one of the Black Mages go down. That is some XP that you'll be missing going into the next part of the game, and like that's levels that you kind of want to get back as you go along. On the other hand, FFSteve got through unscathed, but he got the level up, and that actually saw an HP up on one of her Black Mages. You want to go into that one a little bit?
Yeah, so how HP growth works is at every level, each character gains XP based off of their stamina stat, but they also have a chance of rolling what is called a strong HP level up, where they gain an additional 20 to 25 HP. It's a random roll. And we really, really want to see those on the Black Mages because, Black Mages, really good at blowing things up, really good at getting punched into the dirt.
Yeah.
And how much HP do we want on Black Mages? Yes.
All of it.
Yeah. The minimum, we value that it starts actually being really useful is getting, 150 by level 15, which we'll get into why that matters later. But until then, all we care about is the more the merrier.
Yeah. As soon as we get a few drops, especially in the early game, they're more useful than later on, apart from the final fight of the game. Just getting some early HP ups, it means you're less at risk of dying due to a nasty crit. And with Rhokubee dying on one of his Black Mages there, he has to revive him, make sure that he's fully up on HP. That doesn't mean he's out for the count, though. This can swing any another way, through the course of this race. Final Fantasy 1 is a very interesting game where if you learn how to speedrun it, it is a lot of RNG you're dealing with, but it's also a very safe game to play. So these runners will definitely finish their run no matter what. There is no real chance of the run dying somewhere. It's all about just getting those proper HP ups and just fighting your way through and getting the levels that you need and all just balancing that out.
And while we have just kind of a quiet moment here with the bridge cutscene, I think this is a good time to mention there is one significant difference in speedrunning versus racing. We're not starting to run over. They are going to have to play this out to finish. So sometimes your strats are going to change in a race to make sure you don't have the downward swing as much.
Yeah, I can definitely imagine our runners are going to play things a little bit safer compared to some of the high risk, high reward strats you see people doing when they're going for, PB or even world record attempts.
Yeah, I think we're gonna see one of those first divergences from like world record times when we hit Elfheim. Up to that point, and the main priority of our runners here is to get through the gauntlet that is these 3 cutscenes back to back, and then get to level 4 so you can deal with the pirates fight that is coming up shortly fairly easily.
And once we get through that, we'll have some other thresholds to worry about as we go. The other thing our runners will want to be paying attention to as they go here is how much money they're bringing in. Ogres are incredible money sources, especially early on in this game, so if one of our runners sees that, that is a great boon for them, because we will need at least 1,800 gil once you get to Elfland. I imagine some runners might even grind up to 2,800 just to be super safe at this race setting.
Yeah, I feel like it's a good call, especially if you're learning the game. to grind outside of Alfheim, because you need a particular money count to get yourself a spell that we'll be going into a little bit later. But also levels matter, because for Black Mages specifically, you have spell slots. As we see FFSteve getting his hands on a 4 crazy horse battle, it is probably the one you do not want to see, and one runners fear the most in the early game. Because these horses hit hard.
Say this is my second least favorite encounter, the worst one being like a pack of 8 wolves.
That's a slow. Those are just very, very slow. Just dealing with big groups early on is just takes a lot of time away.
Yeah, because as you can
slow
see,
and not good rewards. That's the other big thing, is you want to invest your time in stuff that's actually going to pay off.
yeah, and like especially here early on when our black magic is only hitting 1 target per pop. You know, getting through the big enemy packs takes a lot of time.
Yeah, you see FFSteve here just running away from just a wolf pack because it's not worth it. It just doesn't give you a lot of XP, it doesn't give you a lot of gil, and you need both, especially in the early game. The route is pretty tight, and you might end up wanting to take a few extra encounters if you don't actually get enough spells here. As we see Temper getting picked up here by FFSteve on both characters early on.
Yeah, so early temper is an interesting strat here, especially since we'll probably see our runners grinding. I actually really like this because getting it early means that there are some fights, including one boss in particular, that become much safer with it. Plus, it means you don't have to come back here later.
Yeah, that is like the major thing, like routing wise. It does mean that our runners are going to be a little bit low and strapped for cash going forward, especially picking it up twice is quite the money investment early on. But Temper is a spell that actually buffs your attack here, which is especially handy currently on the Warrior and the Monk, as it makes them a little bit more damage worthy when it comes to competing with our Black Mages here.
Yeah, and we'll see that in a little bit. For now, these pirates are kind of jokes. You got 9 of them. If you got level 4, you're one-shotting them every single time. You knock them all down, you get the ship. We're going to go back, heal, and then we're going to see what the oceans have for us.
Yeah, the oceans, especially early on, can be incredibly precarious. There are some nasty sharks in that ocean, and you do not want to see them pop by as much. Although there are some other pirates that you can encounter on the ocean, and pirates are always good. Pirates are a very high value encounter to get because they give you a lot of money.
Yeah, but you also see the Sahagin in original and Code Red varieties, as well as Big Eyes, which have the ability to just cast a single target stun on your characters. And paralysis is the worst condition in Final Fantasy history. Changed my mind.
Death Touch on the NES version specifically.
At least you're dead and you know what you're dealing with, rather than just getting stun locked for 10 turns with a glimmer of hope of escaping.
Fair.
I'll add to that. I agree with stun being the worst until they add soft resets into this game, into this particular port. Because for now, you can just lose minutes just watching your character slowly get bullied to death. Like when you have instant death touch, you at least die. Like you know it's over.
It'll be a little bit more prominent later on than it is right now, but it is worth noting. Our runners aren't having to stop and save because there are autosaves going on in this version. In particular, when they change dungeon floors, but anytime they're going in and out of these towns, there's an autosave happening.
Yeah, basically every screen transition leads to an autosave, and it makes the run very comfortable to run.
Yo, Pirates for Steve. Let's go.
Steve is getting some good encounters here on the water. Very nice. I really wonder if our runners are going to go for like 1 spell or 2 spells. And they're going to grind out the extra money for it. Because it is a very tempting thing to do. To go back into Black Mages specifically, because they're going to be like the main staple of the early game. When they level up, they get access to what we would perceive as spell slots. This isn't a new like Final Fantasy game where you have just 1 MP bar, it has a very nice number on it, and as soon as it runs out, you can't cast a single spell anymore. This is more reminiscent of the old school D&D, where you actually have spell slots that go into particular levels. So we have Thunder on level 1, but we have Temper on level 2. So that means we have a specific amount of level 1 spell slots to cast. And that is very good for us because that means that we can level up and hit certain thresholds to get ourselves extra spell slots on those very important spell levels later.
Yep. It also means that even if you buy a spell early on, you won't necessarily have the ability to use it right away until you level up enough to actually get charges of it. We see a bit of an interesting divergence with Rhokubee coming over buying a tent, while FFSteve specifically just goes and runs right back out with the new Thundara charge in tow.
Yeah, he's not using it yet, though. I think he wants to save it for the water, but we see both runners going back to their ship. This is basically for extra money and extra safety. It makes it so that we can have more items and some more extra spells to do damage in the upcoming dungeons. And more spell slots. Spell slots are very valuable early on. Later on, we're going to have enough money to take care of that problem. But for now, spell slots are everything.
Yeah.
And the money after these spells does not go far. So building up extra cash for safety items is a big deal.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, usually when I'm playing this early game a little more cautiously, I'm looking for level 8 on the Black Mages, which will give the third charge of Thundara. And usually, again, you want about 800 gil minimum to go item shopping.
Yeah, this is in particular sense because we're going to encounter another status effect soon, which is poison, which means our runners might want to pick up a few antidotes, and obviously they need potions because, as said earlier, we do not have a white mage because we do not care about healing here. We care about casting thunder. That is what this game is about, casting a lot of thunders.
You don't win a game by out-healing the enemy unless you're also dealing a fair bit of damage. Rhokubee getting the single best ocean encounter, which is
so
the
good.
5 Buccaneers.
How much money is that worth again? I think that's like everything you needed, like in one encounter.
Oh yeah. Unless you're going for like a second cast of picking up a second copy of Thundara for your other Black Mage. Yeah, no, that's just enough money to just go.
Yeah. It's one of those encounters you want to see, and especially when you're grinding out for like for the faster times, if you can skip this particular grind, it'll save you a good minute. So like things like this is mostly dependent on getting good RNG on the early encounters. If you don't get it, you can always opt to play it more risky and get less potions, get less antidotes. But especially in a race format, if we die in the next 20 minutes or like have like a very bad encounter, it can be devastating for your runners and you'll lose a lot more time. So playing it safe, getting a few extra encounters, getting some more items is always the good play when you're racing like this.
And on that note, big shout out to these runners for putting themselves out there, being in this race, and there haven't been that many races to learn from yet. And still got a week to sign up for this if you'd like to. We're not going to start till after SG Live. Periodically putting the tournament website in the chat, but also we got the runner links in the chat, so please reward them with a follow.
Yeah, both of these runners, I think, are fairly new to FF1 Pixel Remaster still. They've been grinding down times, and they've been making steady progress. I've been keeping track of them in the Discord as they've been posting PBs, and it's been great to see them like get a hang of the run, like getting a feel for it, and just going for it as well. Going on to that, it's good to state that we have some good notes as well. So even if you're interested in picking this up, there's a very like good guide made by Ice Blue as well to help you early on to just get the hang of things. And you might adjust here and there, and you might get a feel for the game and want to take it a little bit differently, but that just depends.
Yeah, like for instance here we see FFSteve deciding enough is enough. It is time for everyone's favorite cave, Marsh Cave! Well, Rhokubee is like, you know what, I'm going to play a little safer, I'm going to get level 8, except for the one Black Mage that died. I'm going to buy a couple of Ethers to make sure I have enough spell charges to get through. And And I appreciate these divergent strategies. Rhokubee is very interested in taking it safe and, having enough resources to make sure that he's going to get through. While FFSteve is like, you know what? I'm just going to go fast, press my luck, and hopefully use the time I'm not spending grinding to get in attempts in case the RNG goes badly. Plus, with the autosave going down each floor, Steve has the checkpoint here on the second basement. So if anything goes wrong between here and the next staircase, like this gargoyle ambush, oh god.
And a crit as well to start off, but they're attacking the warrior. That is, I think, the best example we could have to showcase why we need a warrior in this party and why he needs to be in the position he is in. Like, we want someone to tank very bad hits, and that warrior there is the beefiest character we have. There are actually some optional drops that we can get from something like the Buccaneers or the Pirates as well, to help get him an extra shield, give him a few more defensive points in order to help the Black Mages survive as well. And as we're hitting like the lower levels here of Marsh Cave on FFSteve, I think I'm seeing him on 53 and 70 somewhat HP, which means he got 1 and 2 extra HP drops thus far, which isn't a lot. Oh, I say that, but he just got a level up and got an HP drop on both of them, so there we go. That is how you catch up easily.
And yeah, so Marsh Cave is probably the worst dungeon in this game. You've got your gargoyles that hit like trucks. You've got the scorpions that hit like even bigger trucks and also are poisonous.
Oh, that was
yeah,
a really
I
bad
honestly think I
counter.
would have reset off that fight instead of heal up.
Yeah, I would have done the same.
You were early enough on the floor, and also the amount of resources it cost you to heal it off is very expensive at this stage, but I also do appreciate Steve's gumption of like, no, we press on. I want to see the Piscos.
So, an important note here is that in this particular cave, we saw Steve pick up the first item on the third floor, which is a Phoenix Down. That is the only Phoenix Down we actually have until the end of Earth Cave, which is halfway into the run, which is 40 minutes from now, at least.
I usually buy some in Port Area.
That is the thing, like, if you lose a character here, like that, you want to get an extra item pickup. Because we just lost one of the Black Mages. That was a very unfortunate fight, and FFSteve is resetting on that particular one. As you can see, he is basically alt F4ing. He's hard resetting on this PC version of the game. Square Enix, if you're watching, please give us soft reset. We would really appreciate you.
Just in-game, let me press, escape to go to a menu that says quit this title. That's all I want. That's all I need.
I want start select L1 and R1 to mean something again.
Right?
You already built it for the other remaster games. We know you have the technology.
Yes, the technology is there. Why do you hold out on this wonderful game? Like, the first one has to mean something here.
Yeah.
It's yeah.
And so with one wipe, Steve picks up his crown at 2140, just as Rhokubee is about to enter Marsh Cave. Rhokubee does have a lot more in the way of resources, in addition to the experience points from all that extra grinding. And we'll see how Steve, being ahead, forging bravely onward, works out versus the more methodical play that Rhokubee is showing us.
Yeah, so Rhokubee has two things going for him here. We have a double Thundara, I think, on his Black Mages. I think he picked up 2. Plus, he's had some extra HP drops. So one of his Black Mages is on 120 plus health. That means that Black Mage will survive a hit from the pesky demons that we're going to have to fight. That he's going to encounter really soon. So that means his survivability went up tremendously. That said, though, the random encounters can still really hurt, including those scorpions he just encountered.
Yeah,
and it is not hard to run out of antidotes in this cave either. You don't have a very extensive stock.
Yeah.
I stand corrected. Rhokubee actually picked up 1 Thundara.
Yeah, I know Rhokubee picked up some extra ethers,
That might have been it, yeah.
which will definitely help him be a bit more liberal with his uses of Thundara.
That is very fair. To explain, an ether in this particular game doesn't restore an X amount of mana. It actually restores one spell slot of every level. So that means that he will restore a Thundara, a Saber, and a Thunder spell if he uses them. So it's very nice and a very economic use of an item. We'll go more into that later because it'll be very important going into the next few dungeons.
Yeah, but the thing to note is that because you get one charge back on every single level, the most efficient way to do it is make sure you have a charge burned on every single level before you use it.
Yeah.
FFSteve running into a bit of a pickle here, I think. Out of resources going into the Astos fight.
That is gonna be a lot harder to deal with. Here's where one of the major route divergences go between a route that I was used to running and that's like more current. Having the double temper spell for our runners means that they can actually go ahead and start buffing up their monk and their warrior to actually get a lot of extra damage on them. So you're not relying on your black mages here, you're actually relying on your fighters here and your monk here to actually get the damage in for you.
Yeah, though I am worried that 40 HP on those fighters is... Oh! That's the other thing Astos can do. Just say...
Yeah, I was thinking it. I was thinking it, but I was waiting patiently before I said anything. But that's why you might want to spread the tempers between the two instead of just all in.
After the Final Fantasy Relay race, which also saw Final Fantasy 1 Pix Remaster, I stopped trying to curse our runners. That didn't go well. That's just very important to see. Also getting sleeped on the warrior here. Like, this is what Astos can do. He can really mess you up and basically slowly whittle you down. A level 2 spell would wipe him, though. So that's just a thing that he can also do.
Yeah, I do not blame Steve for that reset there. After the second death spell comes out, hits a black mage.
Oh,
that was a tough one, but it might actually have been faster to die. I mean, you can see how much time these takes, but he actually does a really good job of getting back into it. So
yeah,
that's the difference of saving in front of the bosses.
It also shows the resilience of this particular run. Like, you can see that, like, every time you fight this encounter or this boss battle, you're gonna have a different go at it. That means you can get a lot of good practice in just playing through the game, like doing the speedrun and following the notes along. There's so much to learn as you go into this game, and just, like, so many adjusting that you can do, but it also means that it's a very forgiving title. Like, even, like, when Astos is being a meanie, like he is being to Steve right now, you just gotta adjust, and you gotta get used to the fact that, like, sometimes the odds are not in your favor. What do? Do you reset? Do you stay? How are you gonna deal with this situation?
I'd like to point out, this is showing the advantages of both racer strategies that we're seeing right now. Rhokubee is more well prepared, more robust, and getting through this in less attempts. FFSteve has the buffer of time to make these multiple attempts while Rhokubee is still trying to catch up.
Yeah, and so at the end of the day, it comes down to, like, are you kidding me, Astos?
Oh, why? Oh,
yeah.
That is wow.
Back to what I was saying, but at the end of the day, it comes down to a runner personal preference for how much variance you want in the actual fights themselves, because again, you know, if you cut corners, save time, go with lower resources, you will be ahead of the other runner, but the game might just decide to look at you and be like, nah.
Yeah.
And also the difference of a world record attempt. We've seen like 6 times you would have reset the run already, and we're 20 minutes in.
Oh yeah,
easily. But it also goes to show that, like, learning different methods of dealing with fights is very important. I'm used to actually playing Astos in a different way, where I just focus on getting the damage in on all characters. I don't rely on temper as much. Rather just, like, pick up the Thundara, get the Thundara slots, like, spells on them, and just save up my Thundaras for this particular fight, just to have some options when dealing with it as well. It's a little bit of safety. It might be a little bit slower, but there are different ways to tackle boss battles like this. And now they're both in the same fight.
Runner
which means
high
Rhokubee
five.
caught up.
Yeah, which again, is that interesting balance of
He got him.
nice
GG.
342 damage on Astos.
Oh my.
Steve getting his revenge.
Yeah, and Rhokubee getting roasted on the right side of the screen here. That is
Astos
Astos in a
says you're
nutshell.
more durable. Try this.
Yeah, how about I double flame you and just like say no?
But the good news is, for Steve in particular at this point, the run's fairly smooth sailing for the next little bit. Just gotta wander on through, do some fun little fetch quests, and we'll worry about what he's doing once he hits Earth Cave.
Oh. Getting out of the Oslos fight and just seeing some ogres there is a little bit of redemption. Like, ogres are good gil and good XP, and it's just very nice for FFSteve because he's behind our resources to see those encounters. That's the high risk reward play that you see Steve going into. He might have lost a lot of time on Oslos, but some good encounters can really catch you back up.
Yeah. Rhokubee also threw. One of the Black Mages goes down, the one that had like 10 HP at the time, so, better that than. What was that drop?
Sword.
That was a sword. He got the sword. He got it too. Oh man, that is so good.
Let's go.
Okay, equip that sword, Roku. Show off the swag. This is
Yes.
this is a weapon that's a 4% drop on Ostos. If you see it drop, like put it on your fighter. Like, it never happens, but if it happens, it's a good little damage boost.
It also sells for a fair bit, so, honestly, I just chuck mine into the shop.
You'd sell it. Like, that's the swag sword. Like, that little nice little fighter's gonna hold on to that for dear life in my book.
There, but it's also, 4 potions.
That's interesting that you said that. So it might sound weird to go like, that sword is worth 4 potions. That's not a lot. In this game, it is. Having 4 more potions is a lot more resources to deal with, especially for the next trek. We're going to see a little bit of a fetch quest here from both runners, where they're going to be exchanging some key items. They're going to give someone an eye. They're going to give someone a flute. What was it? Yeah, I think a flute. They're going to get a key. They're going to open up some chests. And then they're gonna head to our next town. The next town over has a very good spell, but no item shop. So any item shopping that they do, they have to do in this section for the next 30 to 40 minutes of the run.
And of course,
Yeah.
the best money is the Dwarf Cave when you want to go right to Melmund. So this
Yeah.
is a case where you might do Divergence and get your stuff from Dwarf, go back to Canaria to do all your shopping.
On the other hand, the money you do pick up in Dwarf Cave is basically exactly enough to cover your shopping in Melmond. But you might also find some encounters. You get some money from some ogres or some buccaneers, and you're like, well, what do I do with this extra grand?
Yeah.
So yeah, there is some interesting tension you can do here if you want to play it a little safer.
Yeah, just to already put it out there, like in our next major important shop that we're gonna have to do, we can pick up 2 particular items. We can pick up a spell and a particular set of a piece of armor, both of which will cost 4,000 gil a pop. So there isn't like a 1 or 2,000 gil item that's worthy to pick up. There isn't potions that you can stock up when you're there. Your money has to be ready for that particular shop. So everything that you have extra, you need to spend a shop before that one.
Yeah, so you will often see runners either spending just all the way down all their money when they go to the item shop because they know they're going to get their spells and they're just going to not worry about the armor for now.
Yeah, if you give these...
Conversely- Sorry.
No, go ahead.
Yeah, conversely, you can see runners saving, 25 to 3k, trusting that they'll make up the difference on the enemy encounters on the way, and try and pick up one of the silver bracelets once they get there.
Yeah, the silver bracelets are a really neat pickup, especially if you're seeing a massive divergence between one of your 2 black mages. Like, if one is close to 200 HP, but the other one is just barely hitting 100, you might want to get that extra defense on the lower HP mage. It really depends on like how you're looking at this point. You're constantly worrying and constantly just thinking about like, okay, how are my black mages doing? Like, are they surviving fights? Are they in a good spot at this point? If not, might have to pick up some extra safeties.
Yeah. You'll also notice our runners are going to be opening up a couple of boxes, including if you are low on consumable items, you can pick up 2 potions and an antidote in Matoya's Cave. Here in Elfland Castle on Steve's side, there is a treasure room that has 2 pieces of gear that are better off sold, and a small pile of cash, which is going to be great for the item shop coming up.
So I don't remember if we specifically mentioned that diagonal walking is awesome, but diagonal walking is awesome.
Oh, I bully NES runners always with diagonal walking. It's my favorite thing to do.
So I went back and I did some speedruns of the PSP version, and my brain's just like, oh yeah, diagonal. Why am I not going diagonally? I don't understand.
It's such a little thing, but it makes the run just feel a little more comfortable. On the other hand, like your specific pathfinding is not there. Like you just walk as fast as you can. It does create one really cool floor really late in the game. Like
Yeah.
that is the one floor, and every time you get it, you just feel great. Like your motivation and your mood goes up like 100 times. Like if right before the end game, it's really nice.
Yeah. On the other hand, there are some tweaks they made to this version compared to older ones that I'm like, I'm not so sure about. But we'll get into those as they crop up. For now, we've got Rhokubee getting the Mystic Key. We've got Steve raiding the Corneria Treasury and picking up some Nitro Powder.
Yeah, just casually just picking up some power to blow up stuff.
Yeah.
Typical black mage stuff. All right, we're gonna have the next shop come up for FFSteve, and I really wonder like what type of safety items he's gonna pick up. So it was discussed before, like how are you gonna deal with the fact that you're gonna have runners, or you're gonna have like the next 30 minutes ahead of you. There's some very dangerous mobs ahead of you. There's some very dangerous monsters ahead of you. What do you want to keep? What do you want to sell? And how are you gonna be safe about what you're doing? We see Steve basically selling everything at this point.
Yep. Anything that isn't consumable, and he's already got the best equipment he's got already equipped to everyone, so everything that's unequipped, he doesn't need anymore. Getting some antidotes, fair. 3 Phoenix down, I actually really like that. Getting a couple of gold needles because we're going to start seeing petrification from enemies soon, and then picking up a stack of ethers and a stack of potions.
That is a lot of ethers and a lot of potions. I like it. He's about to go ahead and go ham and just try to blow up as much as he can.
Yeah, that's a actually slightly new divergence in the routing of this game. Previously, you saw runners buying tents and cabins here, which you can use outside of areas on the overworld to restore HP and MP. It also takes about 10 seconds to use one, because there's a whole animation that plays. So it's actually way faster just to buy a bunch of potions and ethers and use those to restore all your spells and HP that way.
Yeah, tents in particularly only restore 2 spell recovery of like all the spell levels that you have. Cabins actually restore you to full HP and restore all of your magic. So that's honestly pretty okay to deal with. And taking the time loss on that might just be better for you when it comes to low money. So a cabin sells for 1,000 though, so that means that you can sell it and actually just buy a good 6 ethers and 2 potions, and especially ethers are becoming more and more important here.
Yeah, we'll see Rhokubee opting not to sell his camping gear, which is going to be another interesting divergence. We'll be able to see how that works, especially because, you know, let's face it, tents are fairly money efficient if you look at them as basically just being double ethers that also heal you. Because an ether costs 150, a tent costs 160.
Yeah.
And so for 10 extra gil in 10 seconds, you too can get double your charges.
Well, while Narek is blowing things up, let me take a moment and mention what's going on here. This is a promotional event for an upcoming tournament we're going to do for Final Fantasy 1 Pixel Remaster. You can get this game right now on Steam. I promise you can learn it fast enough to enter our tournament the next week, and we're going to be kicking things off after SG Live. We'll get the links in chat here in just a moment, and hope you'll have some fun with us.
Yeah, I can't overstate like how much fun it was to learn this game. Like it was one of my first speed games to actually pick up because I wanted to learn more about like RPG running in general. FF1 Pixel Remaster is such a forgiving title to do. There's no real way where your run can die, and there's so many things that basically you learn just by playing the game. You can pick up the notes that are available right now, and you can probably finish the game in under 4 hours for your first run, guaranteed. That is how good it is.
Definitely. And, you know, that 4 hours includes, like, okay, I need to look up the map because I've never been in this dungeon before. How do I get to the end of it? And probably also a fair bit of, like, actual mistakes in there, too. Like, you know, world record for this is just over the hour 40 mark. But, like...
And that's when everything goes right.
Yeah. But, like, getting down to, like, 2 hour time is definitely within reasonable grind distance, and even with just a little bit of practice, you could probably drop a 230.
Oh yeah, like if you're comfortable just like learning to run, like within your first 10 attempts, you're gonna get close to that 240 time, and then you're just very much comfortable with the game. As soon as you look at your notes less, like mostly for shops, then you're good.
Yeah. And of course, the other nice benefit of learning this game is it also provides a bunch of transferable skills to not just other versions of FF1, but other RPG speedruns in general, because movement and menuing are some really key skills that you will pick up here.
Yeah, and FF1 on that is also very forgiving. Like, there's so many small things that you learn, and so many adjustments that you do, because the game, apart from like a routing that we do, is a lot of RNG. Like, we're dealing with random encounters popping up everywhere. We're dealing with bosses who aren't set on a very particular moveset. We're dealing with everything that can possibly go wrong, will eventually go wrong once for you, and just adjusting to that just gives you so much more knowledge of like how to deal with RPGs in general. It's really helped me like get comfortable with other runs that I've done as well, and just like even the runs that I've done before FF1, I've learned to look at them in an entirely different way. It's such a good run to start with, and it's such a good run to come back to.
Oh yeah, 100%. For me personally, my very first speedrun I ever did was FF1 on the GBA, which is a fairly different kettle of fish from this run. But it feels about the same overall. Like, if anything, across all the different FF1 speedruns, those two are this one and GBA are probably the two closest to each other.
Yeah, like, I think there's 4 major versions of this game. There's the NES one, there's the GBA one, there's the PSP one, and then there's the Pixel Remaster that we're playing right now. All 4 of them have very varying runs. They use different classes, they use different methods. The NES has like a particular step route that you gotta learn and that you can do. The PSP has a very particular item glitch that you can do. All of them are so different in that way. But you can just learn the route for one, and you'll know the maps for every other one that's out there. It's super nice.
And while we're done hyping up the benefits of learning this as a speedrun, FFSteve has made his way into the Earth Cave. We are on the lookout for a couple of things here. First and foremost, we've got our eyes out for that pesky undead vampire who's ruining the Earth. Secondly, we're looking out for some birds. Birds are jerks, but let's hope they're not the correct kind of jerks today.
Birds are jerks, but we're using them today.
Yeah, the other thing we're really looking out for our characters here in Earth Cave is getting our Black Mages up to level 12. At level 12, you get your first charge of Firaga, which is going to carry a lot of the next 45 minutes. Yeah, not 40 minutes, 15 minutes.
It's dependent on how well the run goes. Like Faraga can carry you a lot, and it's a spell that they picked up in Malmond, and it will come back because Faraga has one benefit over the other spells, and that is that it will clear undead enemies like no other spell out there.
Oh, yeah.
It is a very handy spell. It's the most powerful tool that we have, and like I said, like level 12 is a good pickup because we get our first slot. At level 13, we're immediately getting the second. And at level 15, we get our third spell slot for Firaga. So you can see it snowballing very fast to the point where we can have enough levels to just have 30 Firagas in the bank for both of the Black Mages as we go deeper into Earth Cave.
And getting to that level 15 is effectively hard required for getting your way through the entire Earth Cave. Our final boss, Lich, will need those, and probably a Thundara, unless we get incredibly lucky.
Yeah. So FFSteve is on the bird floor. He is on floor number 3, and there we have them, the two cockatrices. We suddenly see them both getting into defending mode. There's a particular reason for that. Cockatrices have a very nasty status effect that we see right there. It's petrification, and he hit one of the black mages because, of course, the jerks are birds. The jerks are birds today. Yeah, that is what we're saying. That is how we're dealing with it.
Does he not have gold needles?
I think he's trying to gun for like getting the monk petrified and then running.
Yeah, like he could use it, but then that opens up the black mage there to get re-petrified. So I don't hate just sitting here and just big chillin'.
Is he fleeing? Yeah, he fled.
Yeah. Okay. So our goal here is to get the monk and the fighter petrified. For a couple of reasons. The first one is the more subtle one, which is when you're menuing in combat, you skip over petrified characters for your inputs. This saves time over the course of the run. The second reason is that in this version of FF1 and this version of FF1 only, enemies can target petrified characters for single target attacks. This is really useful because, as you can see from that Pisco Demon swing, that fighter, who's a rock right now, is taking no damage. It counts as a miss. This allows us, because of the way FF1's targeting works, to soak 75% of all single target attacks without worry for free. Additionally, being petrified means that the characters will still... Petrified characters still get experience, so we don't even need to worry about unpetrifying the monk later in order to get the levels we'll need on the monk to carry us through the endgame.
Which is also a Pixel Remaster exclusive, which means that all of them still get all of their levels. It is by far the most broken way to use your warrior in the best way, shape, and possible. It is a petrified meat shield now.
Yeah, that warrior is now the ultimate tank. Takes no damage, deals no damage, gives no fricks.
Yeah, I think the other thing worthy of note is obviously we're killing everything with these spells instead of running, and that's a routing difference from other versions. Biggest reason why is you see how quick it is to kill stuff versus every enemy attack is about 2 seconds, and that all adds up over the course of a run.
Getting rid of encounters is super nice when it clears out. It gives you XP. It gives you more gil to deal with the later shops in the game, so you have more leeway and can pick up more items. It's usually faster. It's only faster to run away if you run away first turn on a group that doesn't attack you first. Usually, otherwise 1 or 2 spells will always clear everything that we're gonna encounter anyways.
Yeah.
Like that encounter, which is Pixel Remaster exclusive of 6 ogres.
Oh,
yep.
Man.
Though you will start seeing some, various points of balance. Like, sometimes you'll see, well, I don't care if I kill this encounter, the rewards aren't worth it, I just want to get out of it. So you'll see one black mage queuing up a run, and one black mage queuing up a spell. So that whoever fires first just gets through.
Rolling the dice the best way possible.
Yep.
Alright.
That's the game.
FFSteve got his monk petrified. That is very good. That means that he is basically ready for the upcoming section of the game. I am always terrified of this particular floor because FFSteve has not left this floor for the last 6 minutes. He has gone into this floor, he has done the petrification fight once, he's done it twice now, he has fought the vampire whilst all being on the 3rd floor, and now he has to walk all the way back outside of Earth Cave. If you get a bad encounter here with zombies or cockatrices or pisco demons that are just mean and being bullies, you could die here and you could lose all your progress, even though you auto-saved. It is by far one of the most brutal floors in the entire FF1 run.
Yeah, which is why
at minimum,
Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I think at minimum you gotta save after the vampire, but I'd probably save 3 times on this floor.
Yeah,
I usually do too.
My usual conditions for saving are after I pick up that chest there that has 3,400 gil, very useful, both of our runners already got it. Nothing else to say there. I like to save after the vampire because, well, vampire is kind of a nasty fight if it wants to be. And then I like to save after I have my 2 melees petrified, so I don't have to deal with the RNG nonsense of finding more birds.
Yeah, one thing that we forgot to mention about having 2 characters petrified, that also saves you a ton of potions. You want every single potion that you have to go to your black mages. Having 2 of your characters petrified means that all of them can go there. If you leave this place, yeah, you will come back into Earth Cave, and we'll see Earth Cave in a little bit as well. Between now and getting back to this particular floor, you'll get about 24 encounters, if you're unlucky. And 24 encounters means that is 24 encounters that could hit one of the characters that is not petrified, that should have been at this point, and you can lose a very, very high amount of resources.
Yep. The other thing of note is that, you know, this is the first part of the run where spell charge management is crucial. Eventually we'll get to the end game and we'll buy, 99 ethers and spell charges won't be anything to worry about anymore. But for now, we also kind of have to make every single spell cast count because we only have, 20 or 30 ethers depending on how you do your shopping.
Oh, the vampire missed. I don't think Rhokubee saved. I was sweating there for a moment. He only takes 2 Faragas to kill, which means you'll kill him on turn 1. But if you get a bad hit on one of your mages, and you're counting on the fact that you can kill him in 1 turn, and your black mages only have Faraga, like 1 Faraga stacked, you could be in a world of hurt when suddenly one of your black mages goes down there. Oh man. Oh, that was a risky move by Rhokubee.
Yeah, but, sometimes you gotta make those risky plays, especially if you know you're behind. And, it's not due to any, it's not necessarily a bad thing to be behind. Rhokubee did do a bit more grinding early on to get all the resources that he has right now. But, you gotta try and make up time where you can. This is a race.
This is definitely a race. There we go. Rhokubee got his cockatrice encounter. You always it's always better to see it before the vampire, but just getting it anywhere on this floor is good. And then it's just dependent on how fancy the birds are gonna be. How long you're gonna be stuck in this encounter. Meanwhile, FFSteve went outside and fed a shiny little star ruby to a golem who left, and is now on his way to pick up the next key item of the game. Can't believe we're doing the same thing. I was just humming to. We haven't discussed a few things during this race, but FF1's. So the Pixel Remaster has had a remastered soundtrack done by the man himself, and oh my god, it is good. I love this soundtrack so much. The Pixel Remaster has some great tunes in there, and they're just jams. You can just jam to this every day.
I just noticed something. Rhokubee only has 1 copy of Thundara.
Yeah.
Interesting.
He didn't pick up I thought he picked up the second one after his first money grind, but he instead opted for more ethers, as you said he could have done. And he never went around and bought a second copy.
Yeah, I saw him buy the ethers early, which is what I had remarked on. But, yeah.
You know what?
It's a risky play, and I hope it pays off for him.
I don't think he bought haste.
Well,
I believe you're correct.
Yeah, I don't think anyone buys haste here.
No. I
by the
usually
way,
buy haste before I go.
Tigers there, it's worth noting, have a slim chance to drop an X potion for a full heal, and those are pretty important to the final boss, so we will be picking up the ones that we can for sure, and hoping for RNG ones for safety.
Yeah, I think it's a 4% chance to see him off of them. It's about as rare as the sword drop we saw on Astos. So getting it is usually not gonna happen, but if you do, that means you got yourself an extra bit of safety for the final fight of the game, and you cannot have enough safety for the final fight of the game. You cannot have it.
Oh god, yeah.
That's interesting. So the Rhokubee is planning to go back to Elfheim at some point later in the game.
Well, right
Because
after the airship, it's a really easy time to go back.
Yeah. For my personal route, I usually go back after Sea Shrine to pick up haste because I don't need it until then.
I tend to pick up the items in Alfheim Castle and then basically do my shop in Alfheim and pick up haste over there, together with the items that I'm going to be using for Earth Cave. And if I'm really short on money at that point, I pick up haste and I pick up the items from Corneria and then go and sell them there and then use the extra money for extra items.
That's
And
fair.
I think what people should take from this is there's still unknowns, there's still options, which means there's more room for you to do stuff. Don't be intimidated thinking we all know the exact correct way to do this.
I also think that there's room to be like very variable with your routes. I don't think there's like an especially incredibly fast route out there that is minutes faster than another one, due to the fact that there's so much RNG going along. Like, you can definitely play for safety, you can play for more risk, and then there's the option of how much money do you have at a certain point in the game. If we get very high number of Buccaneer fights in the first 10 minutes of the game, you can pick up haste like before you even go into the Pesco Demons, or you could pick up double Thundara right there. There's so many options for you to go and look at the game, and so many adjustments that you make. It's really interesting that way.
Like, on a more macro level, yeah, like, there are some plays that are, going to be more optimal than others. Like, for instance, if you have the ability to forego grinding before Elfland, and can just go straight into Marsh Cave, obviously that's going to be faster if you're going for, the full, world record tier speedrun.
Yeah.
But especially as you're learning, as you're grinding your time down, as you're getting your time better, there is a lot of flexibility for your own level of comfort with the run and the amount of risk you want to take.
Yeah, you're usually better off just picking up a few extra safeties you're comfortable with, and tacking 4 minutes to your run, than losing a fight over and over again, and then losing that time later on because you didn't.
I also
Because
want to point
FF1
out,
is still...
in my opinion, the run has 3 big gatekeepers who set themselves apart. Now, other fights can be a struggle sometimes, but these 3, you just know they're a thing going in. Astos, Chaos himself, of course, and Lich.
Yeah.
Yep.
And we're getting closer to Lich. Because we're seeing FFSteve here reaching the point where he was about 10 minutes ago, where he fought the vampire. But now with the newly acquired Earth Rod, we're going to actually be able to pass the little rock that is behind the vampire, and we're going to go to the 4th and 5th floor of Earth Cave, and we're going to find ourselves a pesky little Lich.
Just for fun, if I promised you that you would die twice to Lich and then beat him on the 3rd try, would you take that deal?
Yes.
Every time. Well, actually, follow-up question. What round of the fight am I dying on?
That's a very good question.
Let's assume within 3.
Okay, so Lich goes Blizzara, Fyrara or something.
Yeah.
No, if he goes Blizzara, I'm dead. My levels are way too low at that point. If he goes round 1 Blizzara, I'm just gone. That's just, yeah. Oh no! If I lose on round 3 on the first 2 attempts, no, I'll just take my luck at that point.
Yeah, like if Lich is going to, just blow me up super quickly in the first 2 and I get through the third one every time, yeah, no, I take that deal every single time.
Yeah.
The worst one is when I hit, 6 Firagas. I'm like, okay, I just need to land this Thundara, and then Lich decides to paralyze my party and then eventually kill me.
Yeah. So for anyone who's new to this or just hopped in, we are doing the FF1 Pix Remaster race, and we are talking about Lich. Lich is the first of the 4 themes we're going to be fighting here, and Lich has a tendency to kill parties rapidly. Now, for the fact that we're doing a race here, these runners aren't necessarily going for world record times, they're picking up some safeties here and there, and they're getting more levels here. That means they have a better chance of getting HP drops. Blizzara will do about 135 damage. And as you can see right now, on the right side, Rhokubee will survive one of those hits. On the left side, where we have FFSteve getting into the final floor of Earth Cave, he might survive one. Because he's at 132 and 137 max health on his mages. So 1 extra level and 1 extra HP drop can mean a world of difference if he gets a bad drop on the spells. Oh, and Rhokubee didn't get the tiger drop.
Always rough, but we're going to you can't expect to get it.
No, you never expect it.
So chat's already rooting for Warmack, which yes, but you're a little early.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I don't think we've ever seen Warmack during world record grinds, but he can pop up at any given time. He hasn't killed a run, to my knowledge, yet of someone who's been going for high times. But I could be wrong, because Warmack is Warmack, and he can pop up at any given point. We might see him during this tournament. And FFSteve here is going now into the Lich fight. Let's go. Alright, FFSteve here is throwing out his 4 rounds of Firagas. He needs to hit 3 rounds of Firagas. He's getting a Fyra back. That means the next spell will kill him, but he's on the next round here. He needs 3 good full rounds. He has some high numbers on his spells. He is in a good space. He probably will get away with it first try if this keeps up. Okay, he needs a Thundara. He needs a Thundara here. I think Lich is 1200 HP, which means that, yeah, there we go. First try on Lich on FFSteve there, on a very good 1 hour and 1 minute time. Getting close to a sub 1 hour on Lich is a very high level of achievement here. That is very good for a run, and that's a good mark for you. Once you hit sub hour Lich, you know you're in for a good time, and you're getting ever closer to breaking that 2 hour mark of the run. Very well done by FFSteve. Very nice encounter. He survived a Fyra there. He got lucky and didn't see a second.
And always heal after that fight, because you could get one after, and how much would that stink to die after Lich?
I never knew that. I thought the place was encounter free after that.
Oh no,
Nope.
It's the floor.
Oh god. How have I done so many runs of this and not had that happen to me and killed me?
The more you know.
Oh, that's a good safety net to pick up. So healing right after the fiend fights. That's a good idea.
Yeah, it might reset the encounter steps though, so you might have a number of steps till it's guaranteed, but
yeah.
Which is exactly what Shanezill is telling me in chat.
Yeah, exactly.
Shanezill tells me about this game.
So you're good until outside. Okay, that's good. And going outside, again, means you get an auto save. So you're very safe at this point. So Rhokubee is still in Earth Cave, and he's getting ever so close to Lich. We see FFSteve now getting back on his boat, going on a little trip west. As long as you don't make mistakes. I've had that happen. I still didn't get an encounter. I'm very happy that I didn't. But it's good to know. The more you know. That's what we're here to do. Like, we are learning all new things about FF1 Pixel Remaster here. We're going to have a wonderful tournament coming up. We have a week to go before submissions close for it, and we start the tournament. So if you are interested in learning a Final Fantasy game, if you're interested in like learning and getting in maybe into RPG speedrunning, or if you just want to dabble into it, FF1 Pixel Remaster is a great way to get into it, and we would love to help you learn to run. There's some wonderful runners in there, from like the world record holder to people that are in 140x hour times to people that are like in a 2-hour 40x time. There's so much variance in skill level, so much variance in routing. There's so many ways you can learn this game here. It's great.
I still don't think I've submitted a new time since I raced Federico on this on the first day.
You should get back into submitting a time, because you're probably gonna beat me at this point. I also need to get back into this. Like it's been a while. Like I've had some other games that I had to do submissions for, but like ever since the Final Fantasy relay, we're getting back into this again. It's been a wonderful time to see. It's been a very high grind now.
Which, by the way, really was the onus for this, is because we're sitting there watching a great hype event that runners were putting on quite the show for us. It's like, we haven't really raced this in a tournament yet. Anybody want to just have some fun this year? We did.
Yeah, props here to Trenton for organizing this entire thing and getting everyone involved, because it also brought a lot of new runners to the game already. Like, people have been picking up the game left and right, just dabbling in it, just picking up to do some new things. I think we have at least 10 runners that submitted a time to the leaderboard in the last month, which is great, which is absolutely great. It goes to show that, like, a game like this, there's so many like new things to discover still, but it's also a very much an incredible run to just try out, just give a go.
Yeah, like I've been here since day one, and at least of Pixel Remaster, and just watching all of the new runners show up, asking questions, posting times, and just being genuinely super excited about running this game in particular is just so cool to see. There is nothing like watching a runner get their first like really major PB in a game.
Yeah, like the major PB in like a Final Fantasy game is always a good feeling. Like it goes to show, like, at some point you're comfortable enough with the game that you just pick it up and you get a run going, and you know it's going well. Like, you feel it's going well.
Anyway, we should probably get back to the actual gameplay at this point, because FFSteve is in Crescent Lake, the next town on our quest, picking up 2 copies of Thundaga, the most powerful lightning spell we'll be picking up, as well as some extra resources before he wanders over and starts getting ready to head into Ice Cave.
Yeah, he's standing still at the moment. I wonder
he
what's
lost
up.
his notes page and he has to bring it back to the right place.
Okay.
Because this is really straightforward here. He's just got to get the good news. So it's probably an outside factor.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
I think Steve went AFK for a moment here. Probably like something to do with his notes or something else going on.
Yeah. Notes, some real life stuff, which is honestly always more important. Maybe a bathroom break. Who knows? Who can say? But on the other hand, we've got Rhokubee in the Lich fight. Let's see how this one's going.
Yeah.
200 max HP on that one Black Mage. That is a lot more durability, but it's not going to do much when Lich just spams the spells.
Like that is the difference between 1 fire rat and 2 fire rats. You either like get to the end first try or you die. Like, that is just painfully. Alright. We're gonna see second try here from him.
Yeah. Yeah, with Lich has a couple of nasty spells in the tank. The big one obviously being Blizzara. But luckily, Rhokubee's Black Mages are high enough HP that they'll be able to take, one of anything Lich wants to throw. But sometimes Lich is
You
just
had
like,
to
okay.
say it. Yeah, I had to say one of each, right?
Look, Lich is just going to pull things out of his bag of tricks, and, you know, sometimes Lich is just a jerk and is like, I'm going to blast you with the elements. Now you know how it feels, oh speedrunner with your black mages.
The other subtlety that I think is noteworthy is Lich uses multiple elements, which makes him harder to defend against. Otherwise, we would have magic options.
Yeah, in prior versions of FF1, enemies cast their list of spells in a particular order. So, in basically every previous version of FF1, Lich would always be opening up with Blizzara. And you might be going, well, Leggy, that sounds awful, because that's Lich's strongest spell. It'll totally wreck your party. But you can plan for it, you can prep for it. And Lich does take a few turns off to cast status spells after it. And in especially GBA, some of the earlier, more entry-level routes even pick up a copy of Null Ice to be able to just tank the ice damage from Lich's Blizzara. Whereas here, in Pixel Remaster, Lich can do just whatever the Lich wants to do that day.
Yeah, like it's definitely a difference in versions here. Like all of the bosses have the same set of spells that they had in the original game, but they're not in order here. He can do Blizzara 4 times in a row if he really wants to, or not do it at all and just basically try to face punch the warrior here, which doesn't matter. Which just means that you can get a very clean Lich fight. Yeah. And FFSteve being back here, he picked up the canoe and he's actually going to go straight towards the next dungeon. He's going to cross a few rivers, which do have a very dangerous set of encounters that are available here. So he's got to be a little careful.
Fun fact, in Pixel Remaster, the rivers down here on the southern continent actually have the same enemy encounter that are found in the northern continent, which is not true in most other versions of FF1.
Are they harder here or easier?
The encounters here are much harder than they are in, say, the NES version, where you will only see things like Caribs.
Oh, that is way different. Yeah, I wasn't aware of that. That is actually a lot. That makes sense though, because this is a very precarious place to be in, and without having 2 Fandagas just to back you up when you're in a corner is just pain. As you can see right there, the crocs really demolished Steve. Just one little crocodile just wiped you. And
we'll see where that autosave puts him.
That is gonna set you back for a good minute and a half there. That is both the beauty and pain of autosave.
Raise your hand if you've been punished on the river system before. I'm raising my hand.
Every hand is up.
Every hand. Everyone who's ever run this game.
The start of the river system is a place I would advise anyone new to throw down a safety save.
Yeah.
Honestly, if you're new, I would advise throwing one at the start and then one halfway through.
I tend to throw one as soon as I get into it. I do my first heal up. Going into it, I throw it down and maybe halfway on the way back, because for some reason I get punished on the way back, not on the way in.
Yeah, I actually, my 208 that I had for this game had a death coming out of Ice Cave.
Yeah, that sounds familiar.
Yeah, but with FFSteve unfortunately having to step away, and also that really unfortunate wipe on the river system, both of our runners are now neck and neck.
Yeah, they're really close to each other. We see Rhokubee now going ahead and doing his Fandaga shop and getting himself a lovely little smaller boat to go through the rivers. And we're going to see Ice Cave coming up for FFSteve if everything goes according to plan.
Yeah,
but can we set up a tent in the canoe?
I don't think we can. I've never tried. I should try that.
No, just the NES that I was referencing in a nutshell.
Are you sure we can't in this one?
Yeah.
Yeah, the answer is no.
Darn. Oh, that would be great.
Yeah, and it's very important in the NES version to be able to do that because that's how you get your overworld saves to manipulate encounters when you're in the river.
Makes it a lot harder to do with that section.
Yep.
What is also interesting to note is like the canoe that we're actually picking up is for two reasons. One is to get to Ice Cave, and two is to get to a volcano. We're not seeing that volcano for like the next hour. Like, we just don't. So we're gonna skip that particular one, and they'll come up later. Like, it's very important for later.
Yeah, the volcano, it's fine. It's, you know, it's definitely a volcano that definitely exists.
It's warmer than Ice Cave.
Yeah. All the enemies in there are weak to the ice, but we don't have any ice magic, so we'll come back later.
Oh, this encounter is death. It's death if they spam the spells, I should say.
Well, it's half death.
Well,
probably closer to like 7/8 death.
So this particular shop, like you pick up as much extra Phoenix Downs as you can afford, because those dragons, and there's a few other encounters here, like if they just spam like particular spells, it's both slow and very deadly. Like you can lose a lot of time and a lot of HP just going through this particular cave. Very
Rhokubee
precarious.
did some extra fights. I think he was short money for something he wanted.
That's interesting because he should have plenty of money for like the double Fandaga. Maybe he overspent on accident.
Yeah, I think he stopped and picked up some the silver armlets.
Oh, did he buy the silver armlets here?
He might have bought the silver armlets on his way out of town in Melbourne.
Yeah, that makes sense, but you still have enough. Yeah, you probably have enough money for the spells, but maybe he doesn't have enough money for resources that he's comfortable with. Maybe he got some bad luck on the Earth cave encounters and just didn't get enough there.
That's also possible. You know,
also, yeah, he's using river encounters here. There's an encounter here in the forest which gives you a ton of money, but river encounters, because they're harder and they're worth more money usually. So it's a hard. There's a lot of money to be grabbed here.
But yeah, I do appreciate Rhokubee playing it a lot safer, as we saw. You know, like Lich was a lot nicer for Rhokubee, but also a certain amount of that is just RNG. Also getting some levels. I saw level 17 come up for Rhokubee's melees and one black mage. Level 16 is the important one because that's where you get your first charge of Thundaga. I think 17 is where you get your second, but I'm not sure about that. I honestly stopped paying attention when I'm running.
Where FFSteve is, this is probably a good chance to talk about another change, which is forced encounters. And in this version, they've moved them off tiles into treasure boxes primarily, but something like that group of undead that's sitting in the ice cave, it's now sitting there as one of those goblin-type NPC things you'd see from FF4 originally, and you just talk to it to get the fight, and he's blocking your path.
Yeah, and that's the other reason we take a lot of encounters as we go in this, because compared to other versions of FF1, you know, the eyeball is now attached to the floater stone key item. The Agama tiles are now in the treasure boxes. We don't have the same sort of grind tiles that we do in other versions of FF1 that we would normally use to get all of our experience.
Yeah, realistically, the only one that's comparable is the Blue Dragon, but that's so late in the run that there's really no value to it.
Yeah, the other thing is, those blue robe enemies can be respawned by leaving the floor and coming back. That takes a lot more time than just taking a step on and off a tile.
Yeah, I can confirm. Rhokubee picked up 2 silver armlets on the way outside of Earth Cave, and he actually went ahead and he got into town with 30,000 gil. Like, omitting this 26 that you need for Fandaga, he only had 4,000 gil to spend on items there and resources. That is very low. So he definitely opted wisely there for extra encounters just to get some more money.
Also, as you were saying, because the eye is attached to the floater, there's no way even coming back through the floors that you can do this fight over again. Otherwise, we'd probably consider it at least.
Yeah. But even then, this is the ice loop floor. We'd have to go down, talk to the NPCs, go back up 2 floors, drop down again. I'm not even sure it would be worth it, even if it did respawn.
No. In my opinion, it really wouldn't. Like, you'd lose so much time just walking back and forth, and you're picking up a lot of encounters anyway. Just going through the next section of the game into the next temple, and at that point, like, XP is about similar. So it's a very hard fought thing. Like, you lose a lot of time here. It might be worth risking it once or twice, but even money-wise, you're not that tight for cash at this point in the game.
But this game is just lovely about letting you spend as much money as you want to.
Yeah, you have no self-control when it comes to gil in this game.
Yeah. Like, money does nothing when it's in your pocket. You gotta spend it.
Yeah, it's a worthwhile investment into your characters. Like, buying a ton of ethers is an investment that is worth it in this particular game.
Worth it and honestly hard required.
Yeah, but that's also because of its price. So, I don't think we've mentioned this yet, but an ether in this particular version of the game costs 150 gil. In different versions of the game, it will cost a lot more, if I'm correct.
Yet how much it costs in other versions. I think the 150
Well,
is...
The thing is, GBA, you ship, so you don't really care, and PSP, you have infinite money, so you don't really care.
Yeah.
Fair enough. That is fair enough.
And also, it works, you get 50 MP rather than spell charges.
True. And honestly, I can debate about this, but I think spell charges is a better way to do it. Like, now that we have Fandaga, Fandara, and Firaga in our spell slots, like, options here, it is very good for us to just keep it in mind. Like, as soon as we get, we are low on Fandagas, we could opt actually to spend a few Fandagas on a particular, or Firagas on a particular, like, undead encounter, like we see with Rhokubee here, and use that to actually empty those slots as well, so our ethers are worth more. Management of your spell slots is key for the second half of the game.
Yeah, I can go on a whole rant about how, going to an MP system basically invalidated a lot of the difficulty in the NES version of the FF1 in all of the later ones, but, no one wants to hear that unless we go over to, like, an academic ranting channel.
Gaming academic ranting, I like it. A podcast purely about FF1's like magic system. Also, yeah, Shane like aptly points out, like, we've omitted like mentioning the NES and the ether debates because they don't exist.
Yeah, that one spikes the difficulty a little bit more because you really have to manage your spells. This is also probably a good time to mention. So, we should see runners getting to Chaos somewhere around like 35 minutes from now. We've got 2 big dungeons to go and 1 small dungeon to go.
3 big dungeons to go.
Did you say 35 minutes?
You're right, because there's Temple of Fiends too. Yeah.
Yeah. I think we have more coming. I would say both of these runners are at a good pace for like 215, 220. When it comes to the run,
Chaos behaves, yeah.
If Chaos behaves, which is always
Yeah, I'm not talking about beating it. I'm saying getting it.
Yeah,
Oh.
I just want to be very clear for you viewers at home. Getting to chaos does not imply a first kill chaos.
Yeah, I think so. If you are interested in to see how much RNG matters in an FF1 game right up until the end, take a moment and watch the Final Fantasy Relay FF1 Pixel Remaster race that we had a few months ago. That one, like, really showed the difference. Maybe I think one of our runners got it on second try, and the other one got it on try 14. Which
Doing nothing wrong.
doing nothing wrong. Like, he did great. He did, like, it was one heck of a race, and it was really close, but that was the great equalizer.
Yeah. Like, we cannot overstate how much variance chaos is going to inflict upon us.
And did we mention that diagonal flying is awesome?
Oh, that's so good. I just wanted
Really
to make. I just wanted to show, like, hey, we got ourselves outside of Ice Cave.
Steve,
that gets us the item.
Steve, what are you doing, Steve?
Steve. Uh-oh.
He's going to Waterfall to get money and the cube.
Okay, I mean, I guess if you don't have enough money, but this is gonna involve crossing this overworld terrain an extra twice.
Like, to be fair, I go here before I go to the next shop as well. But I pick up the... I used to pick up the items for it. I tend to, like, have enough ethers to last me until then. And Fandaga can carry me through most of this part. That's the beauty of having, like, this particular option. Like, even between, like, the three of us here on commentary, we have different routes and different paths that we like to take.
I also think Rhokubee did much like I would in get some of the gold and items out of Ice Cave that I didn't really see Steve get, so that can make a big money difference as well.
Yeah, and then the other thing to keep in mind is that since neither of our runners got X potions, they will be looting the Cardia Caves at some point, I have to imagine. Which is where you're going to get a few more resources, not like an incredible amount in a lot of cases, but just a bit more. But Steve is going about things the way I usually do, except I usually hit up the Cardia Islands basically as soon as I get airborne.
Yeah, I did that before, but I learned that going down right is faster than left up. And I started doing that. I do wonder if Rhokubee is going to pick up haste, like, after he is picking up the airship, though.
I would have to imagine, I mean, before Kraken.
Yeah, I'm not sure if Steve actually picked it up as well. Like, I tend to pick up haste as early as I possibly can, and then I did my ESA run and I bought slow run. So even then, like, mistakes happen.
Yeah, so you technically don't need haste to get through Kraken, because Kraken does straight up die to 6 Thundagas.
Yeah, it's an investment for the late game.
Yeah, plus I like having the excuse to go back to Elfland just in case I need a little extra in the way of consumables. But
This
again,
is This is a big room also for having the first ribbon available to us.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Explain why ribbons are the most broken armor in the game.
They break everything. Like, they break enemies' spirits. Like, you do not get a status effect. That is the short answer to TLDR. Ribbons negate status effects on a character. That is really, really good. Means no petrification worries, means no poison worries, means you can ditch all of your status items.
You also take half damage from basically all magic outside of, like, nuke.
Yeah. All in all, it is an incredibly powerful item, of which in Pixel Remaster there are 3. And wouldn't you know, that is exactly the number that we need.
Ooh, rare gas dragon.
Yeah.
Nice.
And yeah,
always like to see it. And he fled! He fled!
Yeah, that damage differential right there, that's 100% the ribbon. You saw one of the Black Mages taking about 115, one of them taking 65. You want to talk about saving potions and resources.
Yeah, ribbons are really, really good. And it's very nice that we pick up our first one here. Our second one isn't actually far away at all. And by the time we pick up the third one, it's actually when we'll need it. So when it comes to the overall route, it's a very comfortable one to do. And it's a very comfortable one to pick up.
Of course, the funny thing about ribbons is that they come at a time where you don't really need them much. Like, we could have really used them earlier.
Oh yeah.
Ice Cave would have loved to have ribbons. Earth Cave would love the ribbons. Sea Shrine, not so much.
Pesky demons with ribbons. Early game, actually not wiping. The possibilities are endless. If there ever was a manip that I would like to see Pixel Remaster, is like early ribbon. Oh, yeah, actually, John actually points out in chat as well. So we just went into the Waterfall Cave. That is a one-floor dungeon. Like the third floor of Earth Cave, as was mentioned earlier, that is a very long floor. As soon as you reach the halfway point and get to the items and pick up the ribbon, pick up your key item, you want to like put a safety save down there just in case you get a random ambush. We're still with 2 black mages. If you get a bad encounter and you get a bad ambush, you might get wiped still to this point in the game. Like the early game and the mid game that we're currently in isn't actually that much difference when it comes to the risk that our runners are taking.
Yeah. Rhokubee going for a very classic, very straightforward routing, where he started by going back to Elfland to buy haste, is picking up his copies of Temper.
Yeah, this is one that I did do. Like, I picked up haste early, but I do buy my tempers on the way there. But actually, because of the way that it's routed, you can actually pick them up a little bit later as well, if you really wanted to.
Yeah.
He's going
This
for
is a
the
pretty
Dragon
efficient-
Caves.
Yeah, this is a pretty efficient way to do all these things, though, we should say. Because if you were going back to do one of them, it wouldn't make as much sense. But because he's tying these 3 things together, it actually is pretty efficient.
Yeah.
And there's our first X potion picked up by one of our runners that is going to fill one character's HP back up to its maximum, which is going to be incredibly important later on.
Rhokubee landing on the Betrayer tile, as I'd like to call it myself. It is you cannot land on swamp tiles with your airship, and there's one particular tile right next to this cave that looks like it's a grass tile, but it isn't.
Hey, welcome everybody coming from the raid from SpeedGaming 5. Hope your day is going wonderful. Hope you'll stick around. We are racing the Pixel Remaster version of Final Fantasy 1. This is the one that's out on Steam. You could get it right now if you wanted to. And we're going to do a tournament for this. You got about a week to sign up if it looks interesting to you.
It's a very easy game to pick up. I highly recommend it if you even want to dabble a little bit and learn a little bit more about RPG speedrunning in general. There's some wonderful notes out there, and honestly, by playing the game next to the notes and just picking it up, it's a very forgiving title. I guarantee with the notes next to you and just scrolling through them and just following the notes as you go along, within about 4 hours, you can have your first run completed. It is that easy to pick up the game. It is so good for an RPG title.
And you just have to have the heart and fortitude to deal with some absolutely incredibly frustrating RNG at times.
Yeah.
Of note, FFSteve, doing his shopping over in Gaia, picked up 1 copy of Blizzaga, and picked up 3 Protect Rings, which are the best armor you can have on the arm slot for your mages and monk.
That is a very interesting route divergence that I haven't seen before. The single Blizzaga, rather than picking out and then spending that money on more defense. Interesting.
Yeah. Blizzaga is a really good spell, but there's only like a handful of enemies where it's super necessary. Mostly it's just water elementals, though there is a route that's probably less optimal that tries to blast down Merilith with Blizzagas if you buy 2 copies of it.
Yeah, it also means that you can have a little bit more defense and are a little bit more sturdy into the next dungeons that are coming up. As FFSteve is gonna head towards a big one right now.
Yep.
I'd also like to give a shout out to SpeedGaming. Thank you for hosting us today and for the upcoming tournament. Folks, make sure you follow the SpeedGaming channels, not only for this, but for a lot of hype with SG Live coming up.
Yeah, and also the upcoming tournament as well, because we'll probably be on several of the SpeedGaming channels over the course of it.
In the meantime, we've got Rhokubee going through the waterfall cave, getting all the way to the end. We've got FFSteve with the Oxy Ale, talking to the mermaid, about to get in the barrel.
And Kobe stands exactly in the way on the path, and I just love that they gave us that extra tile we could walk under it now. That was such a great quality of life.
It's amazing to see every runner that played different versions of this game knows about the fearful tile there, and Pixel Remaster just walking underneath it. It's always amazing to just have it be a non-existent problem. All right, we are in Sunken Temple here, which is a very interesting dungeon as it can go up and go down. So we are actually gonna do a route that is similar to Earth Cave, whilst actually not leaving it at all. We're gonna go down to the 5th floor, or to the. Are we gonna go up to? Yeah, we're gonna go up to the first floor, right? Or 5th floor? I don't know anymore.
I just say we go to the mermaid's floor.
Yeah, we go to the mermaids first. That is the goal here. I think we go up for that one. So we actually start in the middle of this particular dungeon. We're first gonna make a trip onto the mermaid floor. Steve is about to reach it, and there's something interesting going on about it. There are no encounters on this particular floor, which means you can pick up the diamond armlet that he's picking up right now. FFSteve opting for a little bit of safety cash, maybe for another shop before we go into the final dungeon of the game, and we're gonna pick up some extra items as well.
Yep. That diamond armlet is the single best piece of body armor that you can put on a monk. Monks do get a lot of natural armor, 1 per level, but when you want to put the ribbon on it to avoid all the magic attacks that are coming in the end game, you kind of also need some physical defense to help shore things up as well.
Yeah. And remember, we're speedrunning this game, so even though we're picking up a lot of encounters and are actually leveling up quite a bit, it is by far not high enough to deal with some of the later dungeons if we don't equip ourselves properly.
Yup.
So Hob actually mentions here that Steve actually has the same route that Shigeru actually did in his world record run. It is a very risky run to do, but it is very interesting to do that way. I commend him for trying. I must admit, I routed my first version of this the same way on Thunder's 154 or 152. When I started picking this game up. It is very, very risky, but you do learn a lot about losing. And losing in this game is a good thing, as you learn to adjust a lot. Being low level is a very risky move in this game, but there's a lot of potential there for knowledge, so I commend him.
And of course, as you play, as you learn, you start to get a better understanding of okay, in the world record VOD, this happened as a backup, this happened because that's the best thing to do. When this situation comes up, even though it's not what the world record did, I want to do this one instead. There's a lot of on-the-fly adjusting and thinking as opposed to just pressing the exact same buttons, the exact same order every single time.
Another one of those subtle changes I'd like to point out because of the fight we just saw on Rhokubee's side. In every other version of FF1, that would have been an unrunnable encounter. Same for what FFSteve has right now. Both of these would be ones you couldn't run away from. There's no real in-game indication for those, you just have to memorize them. Pixel Remaster did away with that. It's one of the things that makes the entry barrier much, much lower. You can run from everything but the bosses.
Yeah, which like feels right as well. Like for one of the unescapable encounters that we have are encounters that you see in different versions as well. Like the pesco demons that you fight very much in the beginning are also an unrunnable encounter as you encounter them later on in the game as well. Over here, it's just not a problem. Again, like I think the Pixel Remaster's quality of life things really benefited. It's like difficulty level when it comes to a speed game. All right, as we see Steve actually getting onto the second floor here of Sea Shrine, he's gonna pick up another chest or an item that is very good, and he's gonna pick up another ribbon this particular floor.
How do you run from a big guy? Like the best experience we can get right now. Oh, so many big eyes.
So many big eyes.
They're affectionately known in randomizer community as the EXP Pinata.
That's a great name for them, honestly.
If randomizer can do one thing, it's name stuff.
Oh my god. Here. Oh, so here FFSteve is actually opting for a Fandaga. I would opt for Faragas here because they're an undead encounter. This one is a particular item that we're going to discuss a little bit later. It's a very nice item for the monk to have and to use. But one thing in particular, because of that chest having that like monster encounter, we know exactly what it is, and it's always killable by a single Faraga. And because you're mostly using Fandagas and Blizzagas in this particular dungeon, you always have slots for those available. Like it's one of those small little changes or small little adjustments that you learn to do just to save yourself that tiny bit of resource as you go along.
Yeah. And like that encounter shows up in a couple of places, most notably all over Waterfall Cave, but it's also the first encounter there as well.
Yeah.
But by the way, Leggy, maybe you should mention the auto battle feature.
Right, we have auto battle. That's probably relevant to talk about. I don't know.
We're only 100 minutes in here. Like it's about time. Like let's show our hand. Like let's show the biggest cheat that we bring with Pixel Remaster. If we haven't convinced you yet to join the tournament, this will throw you across it. Like this will bring you across the edge.
Auto battle. Once you got all your stuff set up, press auto battle. It'll not only go faster, but it'll just repeat the same actions over and over and over and over again. Which is why Lich is such a easy fight to do when Lich decides to let you win. There are some additional features that neither of our runners are using here, where you can leave auto battle on between encounters and not have to turn it on each time, and that actually saves a fair bit of time, as I found out very recently by studying the world record mod and having a few people in my chat point it out.
Yeah, it is a safety thing though, in my opinion. Like having auto battle be on between battles means that if you get a bad one or you need to adjust your spells for it, you need to press that button to turn it off immediately.
Yeah, you have to be very quick on that draw. Definitely agreed. However, the one thing that blew my mind to find out about that feature is that it speeds up that transition where the screen like falls into pieces. It speeds that animation up too.
Really? What?
Yeah. It's wild.
That is actually wild. That actually saves minutes.
Yeah.
Another benefit of the AoE spell spam is when you kill the entire screen of enemies at once and there's only one death animation instead of 6.
True. Also a very nice one.
Yeah, so there's like a lot of little optimizations that, you can really start incorporating into your play once you start getting up to the level where you're comfortable running through the dungeons and knowing what spells to use on which enemies.
We got a question here as well, like regarding the potions that we've seen our runners pick up in the desert. There's a difference in stat gains between using the Saber spell using the Temper spell and using the Strength potion. So the gloves, the giant gloves that we got picked up, or that Steve already picked up here, and Rhokubee is on his way to pick up now, gives the Saber spell, which both gives you a little bit of speed and I think 16 strength, whereas Temper gives you 12, if I'm correct, and the potion gives 10. So there's a difference in stat change between the different buffs that you can do. It's very minor, but it does matter when it comes to using speed potions versus the giant gloves.
Yeah. The other thing to note is that all of these buffs and increases stack. So if you have someone casting 2 tempers, and if you have the monk using the giant's gloves and having 2 tempers cast on him, all of those buffs will stack on that character, allowing you to really get some frankly ridiculous amounts of damage out from the monk, which the game did compensate when they actually fixed, temper working, and added all of these extra quality of life features by increasing the health of bosses by orders of magnitude.
Yeah.
Also, Kraken doing Kraken things.
Yeah,
Like, just wants to give you hugs. Like, who doesn't want to hug a squid?
I think FFSteve here is trying to figure out how to deal with the Kraken fight. So Kraken requires a total of 6 Fandagas to kill. He can do one of 2 things. He can ink your party, which does nothing because we have ribbons, or he can swipe with his tentacles at one of the 4 characters. If he hits one of the black mages, they die. There's basically no way to deal with it. You're not going to have enough HP to kill him. Did his game just crash?
It looks like his game just crashed.
That's very possible.
That is very unfortunate. Kraken not only taking care of his party, but also of his executable here, as we hopefully will see him get back into this ASAP. But there are Pandarga charges to deal with here. If one of your black mages goes down, you're just in a heap of trouble.
But again, you only have to survive 3 rounds, and because of the way that, I guess we never really explained this, the way that Final Fantasy 1 determines targeting with single target attacks is that you have a 50% chance to hit the first slot, a 25% chance to hit the second, and then a 12.5% chance to hit the last 2. So there is a 25% chance that one of our either black mage will get hit. 75% of the time, on the other hand, smooth sailing.
Yeah, it's a very interesting way of tackling like the top of the party. That's why you see so many misses on particularly the fighter, and that is why we have our party in this particular setup and rank setup. One thing of note there, we might see some party swapping happening with the monk and the black mages later on. It really depends on what they feel like doing. I tend to not actually swap the monk around, but some other players really prefer to have the monk in the bottom slot just to try it out and just see if it works that way. And to just not get hit by chaos. That's basically what it means.
Yeah, unfortunately, this seems to be a really bad issue on Steve's part, that Steam is just not cooperating right now.
Something that we really don't enjoy is Steam RNG when we're already dealing with Final Fantasy 1, which is filled to the rim with normal RNG.
Yeah.
Like Final Fantasy 1 is all about like dealing and adjusting to the RNG of the hand that's been dealt to you, and that is all something that we account for and that we work with. But Steam RNG is just terrible. I'd love to give Steve like a primer on like pure like unadulterated Steam problems, but like I hope that he figures it out at some point soon. Maybe even like go into your taskbar and close any Steam APIs that's going on, because not only is Steam the client possibly interfering with you, but it might also be one of the Steam loaders that is going on in the background. And I think he might be in one of those load loops at the moment. So he has to actually like hard exit out of some parts of Steam here. That is partly the reason why I would really love to see this game get ported to other consoles. That gives me hope that soft resets gets like added into the game.
All the things
Fingers
we love
crossed
about
there.
this version, and we're still stuck on the soft resets.
Right.
Uh,
But in the meantime, while Steve is in tech support hell, it's a controller issue, unfortunately. Hopefully it's not actually a hardware issue and just like some weird connection. But we do have Rhokubee making his way down through the Sea Shrine, going to be almost caught up to Steve here in a little bit. We might have a bit of a race on our hands, folks.
Not exactly the way we want hashtag Team Close race, but if it gets close, it gets close.
if it's not
Yeah.
chaos, it's something else. I guarantee you.
It looks like he's been able to get something working. He may be on keyboard now, but we'll see it catch up in a minute.
Yeah, I'm gonna try and help out on my end. I've had this issue before while prepping for my ESA run. Let's see if it, because the mouse works. It might be in part of his settings, so I'm gonna try and hop over there and help out for a bit.
Good luck. In the meantime, y'all are stuck here with me. But Rhokubee is about to go up and fight Kraken. As we've been talking about, the Kraken fight could either go one of two ways. Either Kraken just plays around, does nothing, up to it including punching your melee statues, or Kraken decides that now is a great time to just hashtag hug your local black mage, and this ends very badly for you. So let's see how Rhokubee's first attempt goes.
We got a runner high five, 1 hour and 49 minutes in.
Yo, let's go. Back to back. Let's see how well the Kraken whacking goes.
Ink is a great thing for Kraken to do because it does not matter and it's quick.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, even if it lands, it doesn't do anything.
Of course, missing against the statues doesn't hurt.
Mm-hmm.
Kraken down for Steve, Rhokubee just behind.
Yeah. And that is how that fight goes when Kraken does not decide to hug a black mage.
So, hadn't mentioned this part yet. For actual tournament structure, which is what we're hyping up here, coming after SG Live, we're going to break things down into group play, and you'll play everybody in your group, so there'll be plenty of fun to be had. You get several runs in, and then we'll get a little brackets at the end for our grand champion for the first time of the Pixel Remaster version.
And at this point, the other thing I want to point out is HP totals, because now we're starting to get into the point where it matters. The big one we want to pay attention to is the monk HP. We want to see a monk with as close to 400 HP as possible, possibly without going over. FFSteve's monk at 340 is doing incredibly.
Did Steve translate the slab and I didn't see it?
Nope. Steve is about to get what we affectionately called getting luped.
Yeah, that's unfortunate, but it's also something you're going to do.
Yeah. I did this on the GDQ channel once. It wasn't great.
Also, this is a fun little thing from Dr. Un, where whichever angle you talk to him from, he's going to shove you into that one square. So it leads to some very interesting innovation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It does mean that it is just very straightforward to just talk to him however makes the most sense.
I have returned.
Welcome back.
I've returned from the void, and I bear news. It's probably Steam. It was like the game crashing, and he's messing with his controller. But FFSteve is back up and running, and going
And that's
for
what
it.
getting Lupo looks like.
Yep. Poor Steve.
Yeah.
I have to imagine that's just nerves from the tech issues. Like, that can happen to anyone if you just kind of autopilot without thinking about it. It's like, okay, cool. I'm done with my Sea Shrine. It's time to go fight Tiamat. Let's just go get the chop. I forgot to do something.
I forgot to translate. And that's
Yeah.
it's like we've all been there. We've been there and went to him. It's like, hey, I'm actually not hearing like the key item jingle. What's going on? And you're like,
Right.
oh yeah. I'd like to also point out, and I point this out every single time. Like, he's about to run back and get his book or get his tablet translated. In Pixel Remaster, that's the only action that is a key item thing that doesn't actually let you hear that jingle. So it always throws me off every single time.
Mm-hmm.
But Dr. Run is very animated, so you won't miss it.
No. If you don't mess it up, you won't miss it.
Yeah.
And I think FFSteve is like all thrown off his notes due to just like bad Steam RNG. Like, there's nothing
this
you can do
maybe
about
he's
that.
picking up haste and he forgot that's why he came here.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, I 100%, feel more empathy for Steve than anything. It is always rough when things beyond just like, oh, I made a mistake, but oh no, my game crashed, my controller's not working, I literally cannot play the game right now. That would be enough to rattle anyone in any sort of race situation.
Yeah, tech issues are never fun.
If that were to happen to me in the middle of, like, PV attempts, I might just be like, okay, folks, that's all for streaming tonight, later.
Yeah.
Just because they are not fun to deal with.
No, you can't. You can't deal with them like normally and just like be stuck like that. But that's fine. Steve is getting back into the groove here, and he won't be that far behind from Rhokubee here, so it's still gonna be a very close race. It is just not a close race due to Chaos, which honestly, like, good on us to take that away from Chaos for once. Like, he's not in charge of this run, we are at this point.
Chaos can't troll us if we troll ourselves first.
Exactly. Like, why cause problems if we can cause that for ourselves here? Like, it's great. Alright. In the meantime, Rhokubee is actually heading into the next major dungeon here. This is a two-parter dungeon, which is very much an interesting one because it means that your encounter table will change as we go from this particular tower to the floating continent. These chimeras always throw me off. Like, it's probably the best encounter to use Blizzaga on, and I tend to want to have double Blizzaga purely for the chimeras. They are very good XP and very good money though, so that's always nice.
Yeah, and like for Rhokubee in particular, Rhokubee really needs health on that monk. Like 250 HP is.
He's below both of his mages. I didn't notice that yet. That is insane.
Yeah, we're gonna need someone who's been paying attention to what level that monk is at to let us know, like,
that's
what
gonna
are
be a
the
high
odds?
level. That's gonna be a high level because Rhokubee has done the extra grinds. So
yeah, that's level 27.
If you don't go out of your way, there's only going to be a couple more level ups on this monk. Period.
Yeah.
Unless you make a deliberate effort.
Just for reference, level 27 is where Rhokubee is at right now. That is about the level where if you're like gunning for top times, is basically where you want to finish. And at this point, that monk HP is not enough to finish the monk.
He missed the other potion.
Oh, he missed the X potion?
Yeah, he only got the one from the center island, not the one from the westernmost.
Yeah, so he missed the X potion. He only picked up the elixir. There's
a backup you could do in Chaos Shrine, but it's really out of the way.
Yeah, he might be going for a risky like two potion strat, which is possible. It's terrifying, but it's possible, and requires your black mages to have probably a few more hit points, to be honest.
There's
So
three.
just to touch on this,
Oh,
there's 4
yeah.
complete heals for
Yeah.
HP available. We usually get 3 of them. There's 2 on the Cardia Islands. There's 1 behind the Phantom Death-Eye in Chaos Shrine, and there is a 4th on Merilith's floor, the Fire floor, if you go all the way to the right.
Yeah, if you look at that particular floor, if you look at the map for that, it cannot be further out of the way. Like, you'd have to take 4 or 5 extra encounters just to get that particular potion, and usually with 3, you're in a pretty good spot. So, like, and because of the fact that you're gonna get one very fast, like the one right next to the Death Eye, is basically only 6 steps away from your fastest route. It's an easy pickup. Those islands there, those aren't optional. Like, I know top runners try to go on without it. It is a very risky play to do, but you could skip both of those islands, and it can actually save you upwards of like 50 seconds by not taking those. But again, that is only a minute time save for a very high increase in risk on the last fight.
And by the way, Rhokubee also picked up the 3rd and final ribbon here.
Yep.
Yeah, perfectly on time, like as if it was calculated. Because we're gonna see our monk soon rise from his stony, stern look and get back into action here.
I said earlier we get the ribbons when we don't really need them. Now's when we need them.
Now it's really when we need them. Yeah. Like, if at this point you don't have the ribbons, like, this run would look different quite a bit. We would have a lot more grinding in the run, and we would be picking up a lot more armor and a lot more safety items.
Yeah, no, like, this run would feel just so different without those ribbons.
I gotta admit, though, I really like Steve's decision here to pick up the one Blizzaga and opt for the extra armor pieces. I've always tried to find a way to buy some of those, because the monk in the last fight and the black mages up until the last fight can definitely just use a little bit of extra armor just to deal with all the random encounters. It's a very interesting strategy to opt for that, because, like you said, not many encounters actually require the Blizzaga. What? Oh, the 2 armor!
I was just about to call chat out for not rooting for Warbeck, and then we get
Warbeck is here!
So the answer was
No
to do nothing.
way! Oh, come on, please kill him. Please kill him.
Rhokubee
I don't. This is not
going
enough
to kill.
damage. That's nowhere near enough damage.
Like, to take out Warbeck, you have to go with buffing the monk, and well, we
Oh
saw
my God.
what that nuclear did.
That particular fight is the reason why I go ahead and do my menu for the Tiamat fight right before I enter this floor. Because that way I have the menu done and it auto saves at the start of this floor. Because if I see Warbeck, I want to try and kill him. Because that is a lot of XP and a lot of gil. If you can get Warbeck, you could probably run away from all the rest of the
else.
encounters in the game.
Yeah, like,
That is how much
literally
XP it
everything
has.
else.
Oh my god, I can't believe we saw it in this race.
Oh,
Hey,
let's go.
I just want to point out for chat, benefit of chat, in Discord, I have called this a hype race.
Yes!
Well, we can't get much more hype than
That
that.
is so much hype! Oh, I can't believe it! Oh man, that is such a good start of this marathon, just with a hype race like this. And seeing Warbeck live on air is a treat.
I do believe that is our first race-setting sighting of a Warbeck.
Oh yeah.
Mhm.
On this particular game, 100%. Okay, we have Tiamat here. Tiamat is a big bully, and this is the first instance where we actually see the monk being used. Which means our strategy changes from just throwing spells and hope you don't die, to time to buff the monk and make him as buff as possible and try to 1 or 2 hit every single boss that is left in the game.
Monk is barehanded and just caring about the levels. For the buffs, haste gives you double the attack attempts, and temper is raising up that attack power.
Yeah. So basically, you try to get as much extra hits in as you can. Oh, that is very unfortunate.
That's not good.
That is very unfortunate. We try to see.
I'd probably auto battle fight and just have Tia kill me here.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like at this point, because it'll take a lot of resources to get him back into shape. It's not going to be worth it anymore. Like, he is about to kill everyone. Like just attacking here, or like alt F4ing and just doing the reset is just faster.
Yeah, and like the other thing to consider when trying to revive against Tiamat is that, one, she's got a bunch of AoE stuff going on. Two, if you're trying to Phoenix down High Potion, there is no guarantee in this game that those will happen in the order you want them to. Or that Tiamat won't just decide to blast one of her big AoE spells in the middle of it.
I think he got 2 hits done, which would account to like 18 to 1900 damage. He would have been really close to killing it as well.
Yeah.
Shane in chat also pointed it out. Like, going for like, okay, I have 2 Black Mages left. At this point, just like spam Blizzaga and hope that I can kill it is an interesting one. Yeah, he would have been 600 damage away. So 2 rounds of Blizzagas, he might have actually finished it if he did it that way. Those are one of the many things that you can just learn to deal with as you just play this game and just like talk to all the other runners and see how they deal with particular fights. Because in this situation, that might have actually killed the Tiamat instead of having to reset the fight.
Yeah,
and there I might have high potioned instead of trying to get another temper just to up the black belt HP to maybe have a better chance there.
Yeah. Honestly, the more and more I've tried to do attempts, and the more I've pushed my time down, the more and more I've realized that Tiamat 1 is terrifying.
And this is with ribbons, let's mention, so half damage from these spells.
Yeah. Can you imagine if they didn't have the ribbons?
Just to hold it uppers and realize you would die.
Imagine going into this fight and realizing halfway through that you forgot to put a ribbon on your black belt. Wouldn't be me. That's never happened before. Don't go
halfway at that point would be 1 round, so...
Yeah.
Exactly.
So, like here, for example, the best possible like option for Tiamat is you throwing out Temper Haste Giant Gloves on the monk, and then having the round have the monk attack, and then put the other 2 mages on tempers, and then have the monk attack last. That would mean like both the tempers went off, you get the highest amount of attack, and if you do that 2 rounds in a row, you should have enough damage to kill him. The thing is, that doesn't count for like the damage that Tiamat can do, and depending on his spells that he throws at you, he can do between 60 damage per round to your entire party, to not hitting you at all because he single targeted the warrior, or he can just outright kill one of your mages. There's so many options that can happen, and that is what basically is what Final Fantasy 1 Remaster is all about. Learning to deal with every scenario and just trying to find your best way out of a fight.
Yeah.
And really, I gotta say, I think the biggest difference here for Rhokubee is the Black Belt's HP rolls. Another 50 HP, and I think would have won this on the first try.
Yeah, no, like, the sub 200 HP is terrifying because, well, as you can see, you know, Tiamat's big AoE spells are coming out for over half.
And that was 4 damage over lethal. So like Trinton said here, like just 1 extra HP drop would have guaranteed an extra attack on the monk, and that would have killed. Again.
Yeah.
That is just the HP drops for the monk being that low. You really want the monk to be above 300. And as you can see on the left side of the screen, FFSteve is creeping closer to the Tiamat fight as well, and is on 365 HP on his particular monk, which is a 400 more.
And this is why, you know, we talk about, you know, Trenton mentioned the 3 terrifying bosses. This is why you do not disrespect the Queen of the Dragons.
No. Like, for example, on this particular one, I would opt to buy an extra HP potion in anticipation of this fight. Just to have an extra option to just like throw it onto the monk here, spend an extra round, and then like throw a high potion afterward.
One of the other things,
and that's one of those places where we have to adapt to race strategy instead of PvE strategy.
Yeah. One of the other things of note here is that FFSteve moved the monk down to the 4th slot, which does mean that that monk has a much, much lower chance of getting hit with a melee strike. Which,
you say,
you know,
yeah.
It's half as likely now for that monk.
Yeah, you say that, but on the right side, I saw Rhokubee getting hit on the bottom Black Mage twice.
Look.
So, I'm just saying, like, even if you work to the absolute bare minimum and you make sure that you get the best amount of possible chances of surviving a fight, a boss can still be a boss. But FFSteve is done here.
Yep.
The swings that we have seen in this race already.
Yeah.
Yeah, no. This is why this game is such a fun and interesting race to watch. Honestly, for Rhokubee, frankly, I would go take a level or two of random encounters here. Just to get that little bit of extra HP to make this fight more doable.
Yeah,
But
it's
If
interesting
you
to
got it,
note.
you should have the Giant's tonics already. I don't know how many you bought, but it'd be a whole lot easier to go back and buy more.
Yeah, that's what my strategy would be at this point. Just to use a Giant's Tonic in here and just basically the monk that had the Black Mage that would haste, I would menu with that particular Black Mage. I would have him on the top spot and then use a Giant's Tonic and just spam high potions just to increase the
high
round that he
potions
can
would be
live.
a big difference here.
Risky
I'd
move
skip
to
one of
go
these
for the-
off temper.
Yeah, risky move to go for the full buff here, but, you know, might pay off.
It's
If he
gonna
gets turn
be
order, he'll win.
yeah.
I would
And-
feel that
oh
second
my
one
God.
100% for
Okay.
Oh
Spam the
my
wizard.
god!
Go spells.
Nope, not today. Like this can definitely happen, and this is very unfortunate for Rhokubee, to be in a position where your monk didn't get lucky on HP drops, and then Tiamat just being that aggressive, so that you lose out on like the drops there and just get attacked in the face.
This is also one of those big difference makers between PBs and race settings. Aliens, I guess.
Sure.
But also, like,
mention it.
at this point, you know, if I were Rhokubee, I would have reset this run a long time ago. Into this Tiamat fight, even if I was on pace coming up to her, I would have thrown the run away by this point. Rhokubee is going through one possible strategy, which is just trying to punch down the wall as fast as you can. You know, keep trying until the RNG lines up.
Yeah, I would really say that the Rhokubee is going way too hard on his tempers. Like, having one of the Black Mages keep throwing high potions at the monk, like, as soon as you end the second round, just makes it so that you can keep on punching. Like, even if you do 500 damage, it's 5 turns to kill him. And if you have your second Black Mage throw one more temper, like, you're gonna get him down in 3. And that is just such a more safe way to do it. Like, going back and forth on it. Oh! Did he not put on the third ribbon?
Maybe not.
Oh, he did, right?
Yeah, because, like, look at the damage coming out.
He might no
so
on the second Black Mage.
Oh,
The second
yeah.
Black Mage doesn't have the ribbon on. Oh, that is a problematic mistake.
Yeah.
Okay, going back to FFSteve
Alright, got a
here.
free round. This is where I want to see him use the high potion the next turn on Black
Yeah,
Mage.
like, you kind of have to take this one safe. Over on Steve's side, we're going to do the same strategy, except Merilith is a much easier boss because, you know, she's supposed to, if you believe, like, the canonical order, be fought before you go into Ice Cave, even.
Yeah, it's a
so
second fiend.
Yeah,
This
so
should
this
do
will
it.
go down much quicker.
Oh, thank God.
Yo!
Rhokubee got it.
Good job, nice.
Yeah, the melee
Oh.
bias there finally worked out.
Yeah. He got it done. That is the fight done. That goes to show, like, even though if you get rolled a bad hand, and even though you might not be as familiar with the game as some of the more veteran runners, you can get through these fights, even though they're really hard to do, and you might just die a few times. You're gonna get to the end of this, no matter what.
And let's also say this in Rhokubee's favor. Now going into the tournament, no one will have thought about that fight more. No one will be more prepared for that fight the next time.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, again, this is a showcase exhibition match. There are no real stakes here outside of these runners, just showing off the game for everyone here watching. It's a preview of the tournament. It's a preview of what the run is going to look like. And I just want to give a shout out to both of these runners because, as I believe we said earlier, they're both newer runners to the game. And they're both putting on an amazing show. I know that I'm having a blast here in the booth, hanging out with y'all and watching these two runners, blast through this game way faster than, anyone would think to do casually.
Yeah, my armchairs are incredibly higher, but these two runners here are doing an amazing job and just showcasing off the game in its full, the run in its full, and all the different options. Like, both of them are very different on routing. Both of them have different positions that they want to take with party members. So many different options here. It's great to see. It is absolutely great to see.
Yeah, the other thing to keep in mind here, of course, is, if RNG rolls one way or the other, going into some of these fights, we might be seeing Rhokubee very much ahead right now. The other thing to consider, FFSteve is in the Temple of Fiends Revisited.
Yep.
There will be blood, unless Chaos is incredibly generous. It's not unheard of. It is not unheard of for Chaos to be played optimally, to be played perfectly, and take double-digit attempts.
It is time for what is in the community known as the casino, the place where runs can go to die at any given time. It is a wonderful place. I absolutely love just the feel of this final dungeon. Even for the speedrun, it really feels like the final dungeon. This is in no way an easy place to get through. There is a ton of different ways you can deal with this area, because you can take fights, you can leave fights, you can take particular fights. There are a lot of different encounters in here on every single floor that require different spells, the spell usages, and there's the fact that there is not just the final boss waiting, but 4 fiends who are waiting for a rematch that really, really want to show you the back of their foot. And then there's something like the Vampire Lord here, which is a great fight to fight with Firaga, and then suddenly becomes an absolute terrible fight to play. Yeah. There's so many things going on.
We've got 10 floors of the hardest random encounters in this video game. On top of the Fiendry fights, the Phantom here, and then Chaos himself.
This is also probably a worthy time to re-mention that Steve unfortunately missed one of those full heals, so this is going to be a tougher than the usual Chaos fight as well.
Yeah, Steve is going to go into this with 2 full heals, and Roku is going to have 1 extra. That might make a difference at the end of this, depending on how Chaos plays.
Yeah. Roku is still 100% in this race. This race is not over.
This race is a lot
killed Chaos.
Yeah, than people might seem it be.
We filled an entire bingo card in this exhibition, I feel like. I mean, we've had that never happened before, we had technical crashes, and we had Warmech, of course.
We had Warmech even. Even the wild cards showed up, of all things.
The only other thing we could have happen is Iron Giants on the air floor. That's the last hype thing we could have.
Yep.
This has been one heck of a race. We're not even close to being done yet. FFSteve is gonna go and pick up the second full heal here that he's gonna be access to, and now he's actually going into the gauntlet. This is the point in time where you gotta be on your toes. You're gonna know exactly, the floor you're on determines what type of encounters you're gonna get, so you know exactly what you're gonna expect going forward, and how you need to adjust accordingly. And Roku is on the last fiend here. So one thing that we've skimmed over and didn't really mention much. Because we're fighting Merilith last out of the 4 fiends, the other encounters that we're going to be dealing with is just a fight. Like, all the other encounters we just skip. Because this is the second temple that we have to go into, the second fiend fight, which means we're way over leveled. So all the encounters here are very slow and don't give enough XP or money to be worth it. It's the first time when you actually flee everything in the game, and when you learn how to flee everything in the game.
Yeah. No. One of the interesting questions that, the Temple of Fiends also presents you with is, these are the most difficult boss and just general enemies in the game. The random encounters are also worth a massive pile of experience points. So the game actually asks you a very interesting question here, which is, okay, how much extra XP do you really want to go for on your way down? It's a great place to catch up on levels if you're feeling a little behind on things, but after a certain point, trying to go for additional levels is going to take time and investment because it's an RPG. Each level requires more and more and more XP to get. And also knowing which encounters are worth, good XP versus not. For FFSteve in particular, I could definitely see him trying to take a few more encounters, trying to get both Black Mages up to about 300 HP, one of them down at 125 is a little lower than, you really want, but the important part, of course, is that Black Belt HP, which is in a really good spot. Whereas on the Rhokubee side, I imagine he'll be taking a bunch of encounters just trying to get that Black Belt over 300 HP.
I'd also like to mention here that I believe that at this point in time, if FFSteve didn't have to deal with all sorts of technical issues outside of the run itself, he would have been on PB pace at this point. Like these runners are newer to the game, so every run could be a possible PB for them as well. And there's like all of these improvements that they can just pick up and just go into. It's crazy to see like how much they've improved over the last few weeks to a month. It's been a great showcase from them.
Yeah, Rhokubee unfortunately getting a little turned around, which is honestly really easy to do in this dungeon because all of the different aspects of the dungeon, all the different floors kind of start blending together if you aren't super familiar and super on top of which floor you're on. It is really easy to get mixed up and make a wrong turn. But back on track, as FFSteve gets into our first Fiend Reed fight.
Yeah, Lich is back for blood. He's learned some new tricks here. Most important one, Flare, or Nuke in the older versions. Flare's painful. It does about 350 damage. There's only one character on his party that could possibly live through it, and it is the monk at this point. Which is good, because the monk is the only one that needs to live at this point. After a nuke. But even then, it's on the precipice here. He might die.
Yeah, with that punch, it becomes a kill risk, but Lich is down.
That was real clean.
You'll notice that monk doing
glass
about
cannon.
Yep.
2k per swing, and that's, just setting up a little bit. Once we start getting into some of these deeper fights, that number will go up exponentially, and especially on Chaos, the goal is to get that monk doing about 4 to 5k per hit.
Yeah, there's the strategy for the latter half of the game is basically this. Like, you buff up the monk, you make him as buff as possible, and he swings an absolute truck into the face of the bosses that we're gonna see coming up. The Fiend refights, in their own right, are very dangerous. This is a glass cannon party versus glass cannon party fight, as Trinton just mentioned. Like, it's so dangerous. Anything can kill you. Like, even the Merilith floor that we're on right now, I've had a fire dragon ambush kill me. Like, no chance. Like, I couldn't do anything about it. Stuff like that can still happen. Even 2 hours and 22 minutes into the run, a random encounter can come along and kill you.
Well, there's the 300 HP for Rhokubee's black belt, so that just got a lot better.
Oh, I think that might have been the level 30 pickup at this point. I think it's on
That's
level
interesting
30.
because that could end up giving you extra hits for Chaos at this point, even Kraken and Tia.
Yeah, that could make that fight faster. I wasn't aware of this up until like I stepped away from FF1 for a while, but like every 10 levels that a character picks up is a guaranteed strong level, which means that you'll get a lot of more, like you get the strong HP, you get the strong stat boosts, and for particular fights it can definitely matter, and there can definitely be some changes there. But there are drops that you can pick up, like for every stat, every level, and dependent on that, some of the fights will go differently.
Well, we saw Merilith doing what Fiends like to do and picking up a win, so with these long Temple of Fiends floors, absolutely save in front of the Fiends.
Yeah, like, when I'm going, I usually don't save. I usually let the auto-save carry me going into it. But yeah, no, save in front of every single Fiend fight. I do not care if you're going for a world record. Please save. It is 300% worth it.
Yeah, it's one of those risky things where saving takes about 4 seconds, but it can matter when you're fighting for like the top time. But the Merilith floor is a particular one where a lot of runners do take the chance on it and just run straight to Merilith 2 and try to fight and kill it. But if you lose it, that means at least 2 to 3 more random encounters that you're gonna have to deal with, and you'll lose a minute to 2 at least. It is such a small thing, and it's one that's usually not worth the risk. Especially not in a race format, because we are here to showcase the run, because we're gonna start a tournament of this particular run in a week. So if you are interested, definitely come join our Discord. Definitely come and just like say hi, and if you want to learn to run, there are plenty of good runners in the Discord right now, also looking to play around with this tournament and just showcase off this game and show off the run. It's a very easy run to learn, so definitely go check out the Discord, guys, if you want to learn more about FF1 runs.
And I also want to encourage people that it's a shorter run, all things considered, especially for RPGs. So looking at the times we face right now, this is with a lot going wrong for both runners. Steve had his technical issues, Rhokubee had bad RNG leading into the Tia 1 fight, and Tia 1 just took all sorts of time. This is what the game setting you back looks like.
Yeah, and also the runners weren't going full tilt, no resources going in. They both took some time early to grind up to make things a bit more safer and consistent. Like, this is, world record again is a 141, I believe. So 140 something.
Yeah. Low 40s.
Okay. But like, especially in a marathon setting, especially in a showcase setting, these are very respectable times for both of these runners.
Yeah, like a good time to aim for is trying to get a sub 2. Like a sub 2 is a very respectable time of this particular run, but anything close to like a 2-hour run is incredibly good, and it just makes for like a wonderful like run in itself. So that's about what you want to go to. As FFSteve just destroys Kraken, poor fish.
Unfortunately, Rhokubee hasted the Black Mage instead of the Black Belt, and that doesn't work too well.
I love that, by the way, because that means that the Black Mage just looks red, like he's out for blood. I always love that effect every time I make that mistake. Yes, Berserker Black Mage is so fun to see.
Yeah, unfortunately, hasting your mages does not give you, the double cast ability. Wouldn't that be sick?
That would be so good. That would be an instant pickup for haste.
Right, here comes there we go, and not a trivial fight at all.
That is the nuke that I was so afraid of to see. But Roku getting the win, that is what a 300 plus HP monk can do. He can live through one of those nukes. But man,
Yeah.
that party does not look good.
310 HP is definitely, I would call that viable for the Chaos fight. Obviously, it's not great, but, you know,
At that
you
point,
can
it's doable.
you can make it work. You can make it work.
Yeah, like 310 is respectable. It isn't what you'd love to see, but like it's you're in a way more comfortable position at that point. Anything like above 250, you can start like you're worried, but you can work with, and anything above like 310 is definitely an option.
Yeah,
wow,
Tiamat
still
2,
under
the
1,000
sequel.
damage there.
Yeah,
Must not have got the haste off.
Oh,
No, got haste off. I think we've just had a bit of a rough time getting buffs up. But yeah, Tiamat
Okay.
2
And maybe no tempers.
definitely being rough. Yeah.
Tiamat 2 being rough to FFSteve, and honestly, the way like Tiamat 1 was for FFSteve, like he needed some sort of payback. We saw on Rhokubee's side how mean he can be. He's just dishing out a little bit of equalizer damage here towards FFSteve.
Yeah. Like I said, don't disrespect the Queen of the Dragons.
No. Any of the four fiends, especially in their second form, like they've learned some new tricks and they are becoming more and more lethal because of it.
Yeah. Like even Merilith, who is above and beyond the easiest of the four fiends, in my usual opinion, can still, you know, just decide to punch your black belt or their entire hit points. Entire hit point pool. There we go. I can do words.
Those are
Tiamat
the
going
damage rolls
down.
he needed.
Yeah, that's what you want to see. We're gonna see our first Chaos pull at just over 2 hours and 30 minutes.
Also, fun fact, they added encounters to this floor. They took that out of the North American version of Final Fantasy, and then liked that so much they kept it that way in the remakes, but then they put it back for this.
I always get a vampire floor on this one, and I hate it. It is so terrible because that null flare means I have to use 2 spells or flee, and it's so slow. But here we go. We are at the king of the casino, the one ruler of dice, the slot master himself. We're ready for Garland, or Chaos, as some of them know. This guy has 20,000 HP, which is about 5 times as much as Tiamat, which was the boss you saw before this one. So there's a lot going on here. I'd like to start off by saying that we want to see haste and attack, preferably attack on the warrior. Not necessarily haste in the first round, but haste is a no damage round. And haste, he can keep on doing over and over again.
The downside to haste, of course, is that it works the same way for Chaos that it does for you. Haste doubles the amount of attack rolls that Chaos gets on his physical attacks. He will be hitting for 700 to 800 a pop.
Yeah,
which
basically.
Is terrifying. I want to be very clear. It is horrifying amounts of damage when the HP cap for your party in general is triple nines.
Yeah.
This was a bad setup order, so this one's not going to work out.
Yeah.
You
No,
need like 3 rounds of setup before you're in a real fight.
So he got terrible luck there on it. Like he got some bad spells. Tsunami and I think Tornado is the name. Those two are the most damaging spells you can see. About 230 on all the entire party members. And one of the black mages is on barely decent HP for FFSteve, so he might be in trouble there.
Yeah, one of the big things that I like to do is on that second round, I will throw my healing item with the black belt himself, just because, like, well, if the black belt goes down, that's a reset anyway. I'm not really worried about it at that point. But, you know, because Black Mage HPs tend to be low enough, making sure that heal goes off on the Black Belt, from the Black Belt, is honestly crucial.
Can I interject for just a moment? On Rhokubee's side, I think I saw Kraken 2 get hit for 3596 damage, which means he was 4 off lethal and had to waste another round there. That's just bad luck.
Yeah,
and FFSteve getting a terrible luck on the second one as well. Get instantly murdered before he even gets time to set up here.
yeah. FFSteve is definitely going for some sort of gambling strats where he doesn't heal the monk up to full right away. Which, if you get a no damage round on the first one, I think makes a lot of sense. But on that second encounter where a big AoE came out in the first round, I would have 100% tried to heal that monk there.
There's also that factor of not only being on 2 complete heals, but there is a middle ground where you throw a high potion.
Yeah. But FFSteve seems to just be trying to find that sweet spot of getting the buffs up while Chaos flails around uselessly, either punching the fighter or, spamming spells that don't actually matter. Like, this is the setup we've been waiting for.
He's getting a very good setup here, yeah.
Yeah. Going for the healing item and going for the buffs.
And one of the great things about these couple fights here is when things go wrong, they go wrong really quick. Like, you don't see us reaching for resets here.
No.
Yeah. Which, that's one of the upsides of just the sheer amount of damage that Chaos puts out. Is when things go bad, they tend to get over very quickly.
Yeah, like FFSteve is running like was mentioned before. Like he's trying to do the notes and doing the route that Shigeru, the world record holder of the current category, is running. That means he did a very risky strat in his final fight, but 2k damage is just not good enough to actually punch him down. But he is in a prime position to try and actually kill Chaos at this point, and Chaos is not actually fighting back. He is
doing
going for it.
Spells, which is good.
He might actually pull it off.
These rolls are good. There's a chance here.
Yeah, he's actually doing what I would really like to see here, and that is using the elixir right now as a safety strat, because a punch or a flare will definitely bring you down. And he's only 2 hits away from actually finishing this race and coming in first.
Good turn from Chaos. GG!
Yeah, GG's. That was a real nice fight for Steve. He was very lucky there. He plays a very risky strat on that particular Chaos fight, and it has to work perfectly. And it did. So that was very good. Very, very good stuff.
And we're seeing Rhokubee come up hot on his heels, coming into the Chaos fight. Let's see how this goes for Rhokubee.
Yeah, I'm very curious how Rhokubee is going to tackle the Chaos fight here. This is a no turns not over. Like, Rhokubee could do its first try here, or he could stick around here for a while. But it just goes to show, like, Chaos can be good. And Chaos was honestly decently nice to Steve. He killed him off quickly a few times, and then gave him ample time to set up and return the favor.
Yep. Interesting. Going for 2 Giants Tonics to start the setup right away.
He's going for the double setup. This is an interesting one.
Yeah.
Huh. So that means that he's trying to actually get Giant Gloves up as fast as possible, and also doing a risky strat here where he's doing like the triple Giant Tonics and haste in 2 turns, and then healing on the 3rd.
Yeah, which is almost working out.
Aww. That is unfortunate. You hate to see it. I like the fact that he's just going ahead and just whack at Chaos at this point. Like, there's no real way to save this. I've tried it before with several runs, and I think I've managed to make it work once, but it took like 6 minutes and like 17 Phoenix Downs.
We got Steve with us now. GG.
GG.
Thank you. Hello.
So how you feeling?
Oh my! That run, let me tell you, I'm so sorry for the technical difficulties. Some things have happened, but man, I gotta say it was still fun to get in there, and chaos being chaos, and it was still really good fun. Still learning, still new to it all, but I gotta say it was a good experience.
Yeah, no, technical difficulties, and then life stuff happened to all of us. No worries about those whatsoever. You put on a really good show.
You're just getting Steam RNG, FF RNG, Life RNG. You're just getting all of it out of the way as a preparation for the tournament.
Out of all days to have it all too. It's like when I'm practicing or I'm getting a run in, like, hey, some good luck comes through, no issues, and then like, oh, you have a run to do? A lot of people watching? All right, life.
Speaking of, thank you so much to all of you who have chilled with us for the last couple hours, and really appreciate y'all and hope you've enjoyed the show. Follow the runners, please.
Yeah, follow the runners. Follow these channels as well. Like SpeedGaming is very kind to us to actually help us have a place for us to showcase these runs and showcase the upcoming tournament for FF1 as well. So keep track of that. We are going to be active on these channels in the next few months as we are doing a tournament of this. So it's going to be a blast. I can't wait.
And also follow these wacky gentlemen here in the booth with me.
Yes, that includes Leggy, and props to Trenton again for setting this up as well, because it takes a lot of time to get runners pumped up, and getting a hype run like this a week before we actually start it is always a great thing. I love this idea. I'm very happy to just be part of this. I can't wait to dive into FF1 again next week to practice and get myself ready for this tournament. I've actually learned a lot just from watching these two runners today.
Yeah, I'm hyped up. I'm going to be doing attempts once I get some dinner in me after this.
I gotta say, I gotta give props over to Rhokubee also. I'm pretty happy to see that we both did the same thing there. I was picking names. I'm like, oh, all right. Let me have Rhokubee up in here. Show some team spirit, some love, and to hop over here and see Rhokubee running and see not Steve, it just makes me smile.
It's so good. It's always wonderful to just use those names to send a message. I tend to try and find a name for the fighter where I just refer to him as a rock, but in an obscure way, so people don't know until it hits them.
So Gibraltar?
Yeah, Gibraltar is a very good one. Yeah.
Rosetta?
Yep. Medusa is always one that I go for as well. Medusa. Why Medusa? Does he get a stone sword? Well, sorta.
Well, no, you sell it.
You're not wrong, buddy, but...
Or the...
Dwayne, yes, I've done Dwayne. I've done Johnson. There's so many good options there for names as well. I can't wait to see. I want to get a tier list of the best names that people pick for these characters as we go through the tournament. I think that's a really good way to just showcase off the creativity that comes with going through these runs.
And the other nice thing about this game on that front is you do have a fair bit of room to play around with your character name. Unlike previous versions where it's 6 letters per name, I think you can get up to 12 if you do it right.
Yeah, you can get up to 12 if you don't use the M's and W's like a madman. Although, because it creates a very interesting dynamic. Also, it doesn't waste any time, and you actually set up the names before the start of your run. So you have ample time to just be creative for it.
Okay, going back to Rhokubee real quick. We are past the opening salvo. The monk is at the 937 HP point, filled up, and we're starting to get buffs out with all 3 of the characters still standing. Chaos goes for a punch on the statue, so that's going to be a full 3 round of buffs.
Yeah, that must have hurt that statue so much. It's on 1 HP. Very dangerous amount of HP to be on a winner statue.
Right?
Oh, we see the fight happening.
RNG.
Yeah, good stuff.
Going for the haste, getting
That's bad.
2,800, but we've got another round of tempers coming out. Yeah, that's the downside of seeing haste early.
This is huge.
Okay.
Come on,
I might
Rhokubee.
even throw a high potion with the other black mage.
At this point, you're just trying your best to just throw potions. Yeah, I would do the same. I would just I would cast high potions on the monk non-stop at this point.
Chaos goes for haste,
Nice
which
elixir,
does give
let's
us
go.
the free heal. I think Rhokubee might have this one in the bag unless Chaos decides to heal.
Or punch more.
Oh,
Oh!
Don't say that about Chaos before he's dead. Never say that about Chaos before it's gone.
Throw the high potions with the black mages.
Yes,
You're
high
buffed
potions
enough.
as well. Oh, come on.
Well, you've got one more left.
Elixir, let's go!
No!
No!
Oh.
Oh!
Chad, if you got it, commentator's curse.
Yeah.
Come on, Black Mage.
Hey, you know, throw some elemental spells. Try it.
Yeah.
Blizzard, let's see it.
Well, you know, it's been nice doing commentary for this tournament, but with that level of curse, I should probably retire.
You may not top that one. By the way,
must say-
Steve, since I don't think you got to see this, we did get a war back.
Yeah. Roku actually saw the Warmac. It's crazy. Like we've
No way. Oh man.
That was it was insane. I've never seen that during a run before. That was we filled out. Trinton said we filled out a full bingo card, and I am inclined to agree at this point. Like it's
Did he
been
fight
crazy.
it?
He tried.
Yep,
Oh,
he
okay. At least
tried.
he attempted. Okay.
Yeah, was not doing very much damage, but, you know,
Yeah,
the valiant effort was made.
it's the reason why I do the setup like the floor before, like right before I enter the teleporter. I do my like monk setup. Just in case I get him, because I like the off chance. I think it's a 1 in 64 that you actually get the Warmac fight. If I get it, I want to get a chance to kill it because it's gonna be a super interesting run.
For those that may not know, definitely not from my own learning experience. Oh, what would be the setup for Warmac? Like, what would you use? What's the strategy?
If I actually wanted to kill it,
Yeah.
literally the same as every other boss at that point.
Okay.
Exactly.
You want to do your Tiamat setup early, and then, you know, you just pray you don't see nuclear.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Lesson
it.
learned,
Like,
definitely, if I run into it.
It's the same setup as it. That's why I do that setup like before earlier. The only thing I have to deal with is like one random encounter, so I'd only have one monk turn to actually like that I lose from it. But I'll take that loss on a single turn, just in case that I can get a chance to actually fight that demon.
Of course, you got to take that.
Oh yeah. Okay. Roku's gonna try this again. He is on a setup turn already. Like honestly, the spells are rough, but seeing something like Slow Ra is great, unless we see it on the monk. So
Yeah. And one of the things I am noticing here is that Roku might not know about how targeting works in this game, because that monk is still in that second slot, which means single target effects are going to go that way 25% of the time as opposed to the 12.5% for both of the black mages. Honestly, I would have thrown Zac in that second spot to be a bit of a sacrificial lamb.
yeah, it's something that like people tend to. Oh, that was a slow roll on the monk. That'll kill it because there's no way for him to actually get it done unless he actually revives one of the monks, like or one of the mages.
Always a like slow and terrifying proposition, because again, most of what Chaos does is area of effect. That's a haste coming out from Chaos, which does give you a free chance to heal, but
this is good. I
Come
believe.
on,
I
Roku.
believe. It'll take 9 turns, but he might actually get it done. That's a good one. That's a good one. Chaos is playing along. Three attacks.
let's
from
go.
my warrior. Okay, come on.
Another one.
That's a weak AoE. It's good.
yeah,
Yep.
okay.
Too
We're
strong
still in this.
longer.
We're still in this.
We're almost there. Almost there.
You've got one more elixir. Now is the exact right time
perfect
to throw
time to
it.
use it.
Yeah, let's do that. Perfect.
He should have
Nice.
he should have 2 attacks left to do. Come on.
Okay,
I
Tsunami.
think he got
That's
some
good.
low roll. He needs 2 more.
Oh, he got a liquid hands!
He crit! Oh,
Let's go, Roku.
that's so good.
Oh,
That was great. That was a great finale, Roku. GG's.
yeah.
Whew, man.
This run, like, I thought this run was only stressful when I was actually playing it. Watching it back is still just as stressful. Jeez.
Commentating it is equally stressful, man. Like you're invested in this. Oh, that was great. That was a great race by these two. Like, GG's to Steve and Roku here for an amazing, like, showcase of FF1 and all of its wonderful shenanigans.
Indeed.
Thank you. It was an amazing experience. Thank you for the invitation and a chance to be a part of this.
I have a
Yeah.
question for you, Steve. What
Yes.
what made you decide to actually run FF1 Pixel Remaster? And what would you say to someone who is interested in running it?
Oh, okay. So first question, what got me into it is, well, I actually have been going through every single Final Fantasy Steam achievement, and I got them all. So next I was like, okay, what's done after the achievements? So I was like, okay, let's go through and learn all these as fast as possible. So I'm starting off with one, and I'm going through as many as I can. I'm just starting off with Final Fantasy 1, and I want to learn it and go from there. And my advice to other people that's trying to learn on these is just get involved with the community, ask questions. I'm a firm believer in there's no wrong questions or bad questions, just bad actions. So it could have been a question that you've asked, and get it with the guides and just practice. Make your saves and practice those specific sections.
Awesome, that is a great answer. And Rhokubee is joining us as well. GG's on that.
GG. That was
GG Roku!
GG, Steve. I got into the chaos fight. I saw you press, get the dot done, and I don't know. Apparently, Tiamat and Chaos had it out for me today, and Warmech.
That Warmech was
Warmech.
insane. Oh, that was so good to see. Like, I've never seen it in a race before. That was a wonderful time.
Well, I'm either really lucky or really unlucky. You decide, I guess.
Well, hey, it's a showcase race, so it's hype and you're lucky.
Yes. You guys had basically all the different types of luck that you could have had. Roku, you had some very wonderful like HP drops on the mages early on, whereas Steve got some way better HP drops on the monk. I think it's like going into the final dungeon, you guys were 100 HP apart from the monk.
Wow. Like, I did notice. I was going through there, and RNG was great on the mages, and I was going in, and I looked at my monk. I was like, I need him to hit at least 300 HP for the Giant's Tonics to actually work. So
I was very worried about my monk not my monk, my black mage. It was a little bit low for my liking and just went through it. Turned out well.
yeah, no, that's really good, man.
Well, I'm going to go ahead and get my final thoughts in. Thank you so much for everybody who joined us this afternoon. Thank you so much for Steve and Rhokubee for being willing to do this. Folks, join us. Have fun. Don't worry. You don't have to worry about finishing last. I'm in this thing. I've got that covered. So, please join us. Have fun.
Thank you so much for
I'm-
the opportunity. It was a great run.
I'm gonna join on that bandwagon as well. I fully agree. Like, thanks to everyone who's involved as well. Like, thanks for Leggy and Trinton for like helping to set this entire thing up. I believe FF1 Pixel Remaster is a great RPG to start off with and to learn. So definitely, like, give it a go. We have a week for you to actually still sign up if you want to join and try this out. I genuinely believe you can get a semi-competitive time within a week. Like, it's fairly easily. But just by getting a few runs, you can get sub 30 and then just grind your way down to the times that we've seen today. And as you can see, Chaos is not nice. Tiamat cannot be nice. and every other boss has so much RNG going around it. It's great. It's lots of good stuff, a lot of stuff to look forward to.
Like, you gotta cut your teeth on going in and wiping to every single boss in the game at least once as you go. Like, this game is incredibly fun. It's incredibly easy to learn, like, all the different strats for, because there's, like, 3. But you have to be able to adapt to enemies and bosses just giving you the business end of the business.
Yeah.
As long as you are willing to put the time in and approach this game with a level head, it is incredibly rewarding, and I would love to see more people hanging out, asking questions, and learning this run.
Yeah, I'm gonna kind of say ditto to both Nash's and Leggy Starscream. You both kind of summed it up really well. The game is an absolute blast to run. Casually, the game's really good. In the speed run, I remember finishing my first run, and I was super excited. And then even every run after that, it's been just one excitement after the other. And like you said, it's really simple to pick up. And I've been running this thing for maybe a month, and my time is on SpeedGaming right now. It's a 2:44, so roughly.
It's great. Like, you guys have been improving tremendously over the last month. The times have been going down. As I said before, I think next to you two, there's like 8 more runners that I've seen upload times in the last month. It's been great. It's been great to just see all the progress and everyone just joining together and just like getting times on the board and just enjoying FF1 Pixel Remaster.
Yeah, and I would definitely say both of you should watch this back, just because, like, I think there's a lot to learn from, watching what the other person was doing, and I don't know. I had a blast. I hope you enjoy my silly little jokes.
Yeah. I learned a lot from this run.
I'm going to watch this back, and I'm going to listen to every Fist of the North Star reference.
I did not make any in this race.
Then JoJo.
Well, I definitely look forward to going back to this just to see that and the commentary and everything going as well. And if I might add, for those that are trying to get into this or curious, my very first run that I actually completed or got close to was 3 hours and 10 minutes. And I've just started maybe 2 weeks ago, a month ago maybe, and I'm down to this so far. So the times will definitely improve. Keep at it.
Yeah. Overall, great run. Thanks everyone for watching. I'm going to leave it over to Trenton to actually sign us off.
I'll again say thank you to everybody for hanging out this afternoon. A big thank you to Nash and Leggy for stepping in here to handle the booth. I appreciate it. Gave me less to worry about. And hope everybody had fun. Join us for more fun. And until next time, have a great day, everybody.
Bye-bye. Have a good one. See y'all next week when the tournament starts.
See y'all next week.